So here we go, understanding acid-alkaline balance inside your body. And so that's what we're here to talk about today. Now, by the way, this is for training. Please check with your medical health practitioner before you go change anything, you know, and this is a disclaimer. And then also, wellness legal notice. This water doesn't cure anything, as you know that. Your body heals itself. Just making sure you guys know that, because we have to. And when you talk about this water to people, in your handout packages, you have a whole lot of information here that I've got that you can use judiciously. And one of them is clinical uses of Kangen water in hospitals in Japan. You see that one? You don't see that? I think it's the third sheet. So here, this is how they're using in Japan. They're using this water for various types of cancer, and I go through all that. And they talk about different people, how much they're drinking from 4 liters to 10 liters a day, different people. Rapid reduction in blood sugar levels in diabetes patients. And then cirrhosis, hepatitis, stomach, duodenal ulcers, asthma, skin rashes, dermatitis, allergies, kidney functions. Let's see, on the next page it says, due to the FDA rules and regulations, we had to be very careful what we print and say about the results of any kind of product or remedy. It's important to note that anything read here is not meant to diagnose or treat any sort of disease or illness. So I put that in everything I pass out to people, so that someone's not going to come back and say, well, I took this and got sick. Because when you take the water, most of you are going to get sick. Who got a little ill when you drank the water? It's called the Herxheimer reaction. All the junk in your body has got to come out. And when it comes out, it's like the first time you got sick. When it went in, when it comes out, you get sick again. You're not really sick. This is called the Herxheimer reaction. They detoxify. So I put this in here because I want you to see these. But we're going to go through the different organs and you can see how they're using it. So when someone like Doug comes up to you who's been taking 150 units of insulin every single day with diabetes and says, will this water help? You don't jump in there and go, will it help? Oh my gosh! You know? Because that's our reaction. I want to help. I want you to see what happens. You got to say, well, in hospitals in Japan, they're using it for this, and I have my friend doing this, and here's what happens to me. But really, I want you to try the water, but it's a company policy. This is a medical device. It's a company policy. I can't give you any of the water until you watch this DVD. I wouldn't give you a loaded gun without teaching you how to shoot it. Does that make sense? You hurt yourself. So I'm not going to give you this water until you know how to drink it, until you know what to expect. Because if they're drinking this soda while they're drinking this water, is the water going to work? No. So they think you're crazy. But when they watch the DVD, and so I just say, no, it's not Imagic's company policy. It's my company policy. I say, listen, I'd love to let you have the water, but it's company policy. Because it's a medical device, I can't give you the water until you watch this DVD. Does that make sense? You see, everybody here has passed out water to 1 million people, right? And now they won't answer your call, right? They won't call you back. You lost your container, and maybe your friend. Now you're upset. Just give me my container back, at least that. You see, you want to take the easy way. You want to pass out water without doing any homework. You want to surf YMAS starting day 1. You want to start with your doctor. He's not the guy to start with. He's going to eat your lunch. You want to start with your oncologist. Now, I can talk to an oncologist because I can serve YMAS, but I didn't start there. You've got to be able to really take a long 12-foot board and paddle out in little baby waves and stand up. Oh, was that? Is that no shaking? Oh, my chains. That's my cool guy thing. That's the new cool thing I got. The cool guys are wearing chains these days, so I'm fun to be cool. So if you guys can understand, start with the baby waves. Start with the big long board, paddle out in the baby waves, and stand up on it. It's a lot of fun to sell your first machine. Now, we have new people selling machines. We have 13 people this month ready to buy machines, okay? Personally. And then under those people, they have people ready to buy machines. Now, are we any different than you? No, we're not. We have a system, and we can talk about acid and alkaline, talk about both in the body, okay? So, I just want you to see that you need to be careful what you say, but don't be afraid to talk about this, because you're going to save people's lives. And before I take one more step here, we're standing at an intersection. Every one of us right now. Every meal we eat Let me turn this off so you don't get sick of my little dog there. Every meal we eat, we have to make a decision. Whether you're 22 or 62, you're going to be 70 years old, hopefully. Hopefully you're going to hit 70, 80. You've got to decide today, this very moment, while you're sitting here, after you leave here tonight, whether you're going to, when you're 68 or 70, if you're going to have a parking space outside of Costco or outside the health food store. Because if you keep doing what every American's doing, you're going to end up with a parking space outside Costco as you hobble in to get your prescription drugs. That's what everybody in America is doing. They have a parking space, they get a little handicap sticker, and that's like a status symbol. I know that's a handicap sticker. Is that sick? Yeah. They're trying to get a handicap sticker so they're going to have to walk all the way across the parking lot. But see, if you decide to ignore what you're learning, and a lot of people do, I mean, that's why when we show this presentation to people, I feel bad when they walk away, but I have a passion. I'm trying my hardest not to sell them a machine, but to explain what their future looks like if they decide to do something different. Because for sure, absolutely, positively, diabetes and cancer is eating America. It's eating America. In 1931, one person out of 3,000 got cancer. 1 out of 3,000. That means in this whole room, nobody would have had cancer. Times 10. Okay, nobody. Today, with all of our drugs and help, 1 out of 3 women get it and 1 out of 2 men. Okay, so in this room, that's almost everybody. I mean, it's like 3/4 of the room is going to get cancer. But we're the people who decided to opt out of that option. Okay? So when I talk to people, I'm not trying to make a sale. I'm trying to explain to them why this is so important to them, and I'm hoping we can relay some of this information to you today as well, so that you have a passion about it. But as you decide which kind of parking space you're going to have when you get 70, you have to decide with each meal, each drink, each thing you do, it's going to decide where you're going to end up. And you decide. That's the good news. You get to decide. And I'm not saying you have to walk around with an asbestos suit on, which is probably going to kill you too, because asbestos is bad. But you don't need to have a spacesuit on to live this life. You can still go run and surf and eat and wine and dine and have a good time, a good life with people. But you have to make some decisions as to where you're going to end up. You're going to be an old sick guy, or you're going to be an old healthy guy. So our goal is to be old healthy people versus the old sick people. How many people have old sick parents besides me? Both my parents are very, very old and very, very sick. And they both we flew down to Florida, gave them a machine, they wouldn't take it. My doctor says no. It's because your doctor's making a living off your big drug-infested body. That's what he's doing. So, on with the show. Now, when anything dies, a dog hit by a car or a person after a long illness, the cells in the body immediately lose their vibration and become very acidic in chemistry. Does that make sense? If something's not alive, it no longer has the life energy in it. That acid state is a signal for the microbes in the world, the viruses, the bacteria, the fungus, that it's time to decompose this dead tissue. This is their job in the physical universe, to return the body back to Earth. That's what their jobs are supposed to be. When our bodies drop in energy because of the kinds of foods we are eating and the fluids we're drinking, it makes us susceptible to disease. Here's how it works. When we eat or drink foods or fluids, they are metabolized and leave a waste or ash in our bodies. This ash is either acid or alkaline, depending on the food. If it's alkaline, then it can be quickly extracted from our bodies with little energy. However, if these waste products are acid, they are very hard for the blood and lymph systems to eliminate, and they are stored in our organs and tissues as solids. The more acid byproducts are stored, the more generally acidic the tissues become, and guess what? A microbe of one type or another appears and senses all this acid and says, oh, this body is ready to be decomposed while you're alive. Uh-oh, it's this acid signal. Eat me. Not a good signal. Okay? And so everything we eat and drink is determining whether we're turning the microbes on or off. The funguses are out. Every single person here has cancer cells in your body. Not everybody's going to get cancer. Only the people whose vibrational energy drops below minus 20 millivolts, minus 15, 0. And when you hit the positive 30, your cancer cells turn on. Because your body's so close to dead that those cells need to be carried away, and that's the people that get the cancer. To turn that off, you got to increase your voltage back up to a negative 80 And those cells, regenerate when the microbes go away. I can't eat that, it's too exciting. Okay? Does that make basic sense? You see how that works? Now, when any organism dies, the body quickly changes to a highly acidic environment. And is consumed by microbes very quickly. If we begin to resemble this very acidic or death state, then we come under attack from microbes. All human disease are the result of such an attack. That's a pretty big statement. All human disease are a result of such an attack. As humans, our internal terrain is either in an alkaline, high energy state or an acid, low energy state, which signals the microbes living within us or those that come by that we are ready to decompose. Disease is literally a rotting of some part of our bodies because the microbes around us have been given the signal that we are already dead. This is a picture of a very old person who looks like a big black, nothing here at this point, though. On your printout, you'll actually see a decayed looking human being. You should see, you've all seen old people that look like stone as they just turn more and more acidic. They're turning more into stone. Okay. Philosophy of biological medicine, Dr. Thomas Rauge goes, we can bring about a shift in a person's pH, making it slightly more alkaline and reduce the state of oxidation in the body. That's stop losing electrons, start adding electrons, adding energy. Because when you're oxidizing, you're losing electrons. When you're antioxidant, you're putting it back in. And then, of course, get minerals into the cells. The body can heal itself of anything. Dr. Thomas Rauge. This is the chief medical director of the Paracelsus Clinique in Switzerland and founder of the Paracelsus Biological Medicine. He's the guy who started philosophy of biological medicine. He requires his patients to drink this water or they can't check in. Your body's 75% water. If you got the wrong water, sorry, the water else you put in is going to be mixing with the wrong stuff. So you have to understand the power of what you have and the company that makes the water that makes your body increase energy and change the pH of the body. Now, humans have a genetically encoded requirement. All of our ancestors in the past, all of them, they go back further and further, their dietary balance of acid-alkaline forming foods because of our early ancestors, fruits, vegetables, nuts, and seeds. Diets high in organic compounds, calcium, magnesium, potassium, and sodium. That's what our ancestors lived on. We still need these compounds to maintain our internal acid-base balance. By the way, base is another word for alkaline. All right? Now, both health and disease begin in the cells, and the vast majority of the body's interactions occur at the cellular level. So, receiving nutrients and oxygen, it's called endocytosis. When I receive nutrients, endocytosis. When I get rid of cellular waste, it's exocytosis. And so when you hear those words, that's what those mean. So as it's coming in, it has to be in an alkaline state, and as it's going out, it has to be in an alkaline state. Both interactions optimally take place only in a slightly alkaline state. So that's pretty important. Now this is a picture of your lymphatic system. You've got heart, you've got blood, right? All the blood in your body has a heart pumping the blood through your body, right? Everybody knows that's going on. You happen to have 7 times more lymphatic fluid in your body than you do blood. That's a lot of lymphatic fluid. But there's no pump. There's no pump. So if I sit down, and I'm not moving around, when I sit down, my lymphatic system sits down. When I'm moving around, my lymphatic system is moving around. The only thing that moves my lymph system is when I'm exercising. As soon as I do something, ooh. Now what's this lymph system? Let's talk about this. So we've got to understand how important this is. I want to talk about this quite a bit today because we totally ignore this. And I guess if you were a hammer, everything you looked at would look like a nail, wouldn't it? Right? If you were a hammer, that guy needs a match. I think I'll go hit that. Because that's what a hammer does. A hammer hits nails. Okay? So we common people are sort of like the hammer. Everything looks like a nail. Everything, everybody, everything. The only thing we think about is acid, alkaline, when I think about blood tissue and pH and homeostasis, that's what we talk about all the time. But I want you to get outside that thing. I want you to still be a hammer. Don't stop hammering, okay? Everything looks like a nail to me too. I'm going to hit it. But you got to understand the lymphatic system, what it does and how it works in conjunction with acid and alkaline in your body. So the lymphatic system is referred to as the waste removal system. Who knew that? Everybody? Nobody? Somebody? Okay. But it has many more very important functions other than waste removal, being only one of the primary functions. The removal of unwanted materials and waste products usually occurs in the form of undigested protein, debris, and no longer needed cellular or tissue materials. Now that's what we all know about the lymphatic system. The lymphatic system consists of a very complex network of much smaller capillary vessels that support and connect to the blood vascular system. So here's my blood, and underneath all that, or on top of all that, is a whole different series of, looks like veins, and these lymph nodes going through it. And by the way, this is like, doesn't even show 1/10. What's really there is like you're just covered, every single square inch of your body, the outside, inside, is covered with the lymphatic system, okay? Now, in comparison, the blood vascular and lymphatic systems work together much like water and sewage systems found in your home. The lymph fluid is a clear and odorless liquid, sometimes seen oozing out of a cut, laceration, or wound. We've all seen that. And researchers found that it is a similar in composition to that of seawater. So that's why ocean is sodium chloride. That's why the intracellular, extracellular fluid in the body is sodium chloride. We're salt water. Our bodies are just like a living ocean inside our body. And the lymphatic system has got the same consistency as seawater does. Now, here's what's pretty cool. The lymphatic system is also a major transporter of food materials. It transports food. I thought it was taking out waste. No, it's doing two things. It receives nutrients from the blood vascular system and carrying them into areas the blood vascular system cannot reach. So these are the little guys that get all the way down to those little corpuscles, those little capillaries. That's where the lymph system goes. It's not just the blood. Because sometimes the blood's the big highways. The lymph system's the little dirt trails that goes inside, deep inside your body. Okay? So, also, the lymphatic system is home of the white blood cells. White blood cells in the lymphatic system. Now, what's the white blood cells do? Right? Fights infection, right? So that's part of the immune system. So your lymphatic system is a major contributor to your immune system. This makes the lymphatic system responsible for the body's immune and defense mechanisms against sickness, illness, disease, and infection. Okay? Now, important. What happens when the lymphatic system doesn't flow properly? This is pretty bad pictures of butt cellulite. I'm a runner. When I go run these long races, and I run like under 8 minute miles. I run 5 miles a day, I run P90X. When I'm out running these races, these marathons, and I see these big, heavy chicks with butt cellulite pass me, I'm like stunned every time. I'm like this is impossible. And I just see them leave me. I'm going and going, they're just pulling away. So the fact that you have cellulite doesn't mean you're necessarily out of shape. It just means you're deteriorating in a way you don't want to deteriorate. Okay? Who knows what I'm talking about? You see those cellulite, okay, maybe in the mirror. Okay? So, when the body is overloaded and congested with unwanted debris, and it reacts just like any other overloaded system. It backs up. And just like the sewer spill system in your home, the unwanted fluids, the materials overflow and spill over to areas where it's not supposed to be. Like here in my butt cheek. Okay? Large buildups of waste materials are then unable to pass through the normal-sized lymph vessels and nodes. Perhaps the most noticeable areas of the body where this backup occurs is in the joints. How many people are reaching on your armpit and feel like a little lump? Okay? Because it's collecting waste, it's not moving, it's not flowing, it's building up. Sometimes you get it in your neck and in your groin area. There's a big whole bunch of construction going on right down here with the lymph system. And that's where you can feel these waste lumps building up inside your body. Okay? Now this is pretty interesting. Unwanted meat crystals known as uric acid, collect in the toes to create a condition known as gout. Okay? So I've got gout is uric acid, solid uric acid that goes down my system to get away from my heart and lungs. It travels down my legs, into my hands, into my toes, and it'll actually exit my body like an alien. The acid crystal will make a hole through my skin and burn a hole through my toe. Because uric acid has a pH of 1.2. Okay? 1.2, there's nothing's going to withstand it. That's in the nuclear range. Okay? But that's what meat does. Okay? Sugar crystals collect in the toenail regions of the body condition known as toenail fungus. You've seen that. Pretty cute, isn't it? Okay? These same lymphatic capillary vessels are clogged in the joints in the hands. The condition is known as rheumatoid arthritis. Okay? Half of America has that now. Okay? Is this something that's hereditary? No, no. It's something that we do to ourselves because we don't know. We watch TV and TV tells us it's good to eat this. Eat this, it's good for the kids. So we feed it to our kids. Okay? When the lymphatic nodes become overloaded and clogged with toxic material, they swell and become painful, usually at or over a joint, but also found in the armpits, ankles, groin, and throat. Okay? Now, when the body becomes chronically acidic, here we are, the combination of diminished oxygen nutrient supply, build up the waste inside the cells, you start getting fatigue and disease, which is why most health organizations recommend 5 servings of vegetables a day. Now, this is a sign, fatigue and disease, that your voltages drop below -20. Children, when they're running around full of energy, their voltage is at -45. Okay? So that you can't catch them. You can't slow them down. They won't stop. They won't sleep. They just... You're feeling old. Yes?
I have to say this, that I'm a nurse. I've been in medicine my entire life. All the information that you're presenting is unknown in the medical community. I'm just saying that. It's unknown.
Unknown because they don't want to know.
They don't want to know, and what you just presented, like on rheumatoid, no clue whatsoever.
No.
Thank you for doing it.
Well, you're welcome. Thanks for saying that. You guys, we in this room are going to be the people who are the salvation of the health of this country. Because it's not going to come from the medical field. We've got doctors in the room. Besides nurses, we have doctors here. We have lots of doctors in the room. And I can tell you, our cellular voltage chart that we had in the last training, we have a lot of doctors using that in their clinic, in their labs. They say, look at this, look at this. Because it makes perfect sense. I mean, this isn't rocket science. Everybody here understands this. But you got to be able to digest it. Digest it. Because hearing it is one thing. Doing something about it is something else. You can all walk out and say, I know what causes rheumatoid arthritis, watch me get it. You don't want to be that guy parked in the Costco lot. Now, this Dr. Linda Frasetto and Dr. Russell Jaffe, now, she's at University of California. He's the International Science of the Year in 2003. These guys are brilliant. Now, he's an MD. They're both MDs and PhDs and biologists. I mean, talk about the guy you want to have dinner with. You know, it's like, let me just suck your brain. You know? Now, they're the people who documented the standard American diet, came up with the SAD diet. They documented in case studies that produces low-grade, this food, the SAD diet, produces low-grade systemic acidosis in otherwise healthy people, osteoporosis, mineral loss, kidney stones, gout, joint disease, back pain. It's the rule rather than the exception. Now, this is a picture of what gout looks like. I'm not sure if you can see that very well. You see that? Hey, Andrew, did someone click the light off? I want you to see this, because this is what gout looks like in the hands. She's not there. Can you just click the lights off for 1 second? I just want you to see these pictures here. Okay? That's normal, yeah, the gargoyle. That's a normal person, and that's uric acid trying to escape, because this is a pH lump that's 1.2, and if it doesn't get out of his body, it's going to lower his whole body's pH, because your whole body has to be in balance, not just your foot. And see, our medical doctors, they have foot doctors. They specialize in the foot. Well, that doesn't fix the rest of your body. You got to specialize in your whole body. Okay? Whole health. Look at these hands. It looks like something from a fiction movie. Okay? Okay, thanks for the lecture, George. Okay, so you can see how many kids are having this for lunch at school every day. Everybody. That's what they're having. And then it's macaroni and cheese day, and then it's hot dog day, and you know. It's just astounding. Mac and cheese. Now, 2,500, this is not new news. 2,500 years ago, Hippocrates said food should be our first and most important medicine. Here in the 21st century, the truth of that has never been more important. Now you guys, I usually don't talk about food, do I? Talk about acid, alkaline water, voltage. But that's because I'm a hammer and a nail. I want you to put on a different hat today. I want you to look at not just what we know about our water, because you know a lot about that, but everything else that affects the whole body. Because no one wants those hands. Nobody wants those toes. You don't want to be that guy. And even though that cheeseburger is pretty darn yummy, you've been taught how to like stuff that kills you. This is a killer sandwich. Okay? Now, when it comes to health, balance, and everything, so here's, when you're born, your body is virtually 100% water, okay, inside the fetus. As a baby, you're 80%. As an adult, you're 70. And you get old, you're 50. So what's that say?
Not drinking enough water.
You're dehydrated. Your body you're drying up. You're turning into a prune. To ensure good health, the body needs to maintain proper balance between two basic chemical compounds, acid and alkalines, for both minute-to-minute and long-term. So I'm watching this meal to meal, and I'm watching this month to month. Creates the pH value in our body's fluids, blood, saliva, urine fluids, both between and inside the cells. And that's what I'm trying to balance everything here. The body is alkaline by design, but acidic by function. This guy, Albert Goyogi, he's the guy who discovered vitamin C. He's a brilliant guy. I can do a whole study just on this guy. He's a genius guy. But this is by design, but acidic by function. You have to have acid in your body to make everything work. That pulls the rope to make the engine run. But you got to get the waste acid out of your body when you start getting sick. So I have to have both. I have to have, in other words, a battery has to have positive and negative stuff. You can't, well, there's no flow of current through it. So you got to have both. But boy, monitoring the waste side of it is going to determine your health. Okay. The body's metabolic processes produce enormous quantities of acid, even though in order to do their job properly, the cells and tissues require a slightly alkaline environment. Therefore, the body must neutralize or excrete the vast majority of acids on a minute-to-minute basis. Now, you guys in your chart, in your sheets here, you've got this 25 biological costs of acidosis. So you should have a copy of that in here. No? Take a look. Here, let me see. Let me see here. This is not good so far. Okay, so what we'll do is we'll post this on our website. Okay? I have to get into a system as well. Okay. We'll talk about that later. Okay. So, if you have acidosis, which means you're not balancing the acid-alkaline in your body, as you become acidic, you get more and more acidosis. The lower your pH goes, the more acidic you become, the more these things pop up. Loss of calcium in your urine, dissolution of bones, osteoporosis, reduced bone formation, increased levels of blood parathyroid hormone. Now this hormone can cause bones to become brittle or prone to fracture. You've seen people that get old, they fall down, they crack. That's because their bones, their hip structure, it cracks right in the middle. And it's like you're not going to repair that bone because there's no raw material to work with. Okay? So we will put this on our website. Now, to find these things on our website, we have a section called Downloads, Document Downloads, on the left-hand side of our website. Click on Document Downloads. There's a bunch of free stuff. There's some stuff we're selling, and we got a whole lot of free stuff. We'll put this on the free side. Because you need to have this list. So as you're talking to people, you can say, well, what do you have? Have you got loss of potassium, magnesium stores in your body? Okay, that's high blood pressure and inflammation. Protein metabolism, depression, depressed protein metabolism, irritation in the urinary tract and the bladder, suppression of growth hormone, insulin-like growth factor, accelerated aging and accumulated acid waste products. So this whole list, we can connect to tissue. So as I go through here, that's just a partial list. But there's 25 things we have on a list and say, what do you have? And I've had people say, I've got pretty much everything on that list. Because they're all related to the same problem. Once my body starts going, starts turning acidic, here comes the mold, here comes the fungus, here comes the parasites. They're going to eat it, thinking, I got to take this guy away. He's trying to die on me. Okay? He's turning to stone, and I'm going to eat him before he turns to stone. So, we'll put this on the website. Sorry you guys didn't get that. Okay. Healthy bodies maintain a narrow range of pH, blood, and tissue balance at all times. Okay. Certain signs the body's in danger. So what's this actually mean? So here, this is this guy, Peter Sorensen, in 1990. He's the guy who defined the term pH, potential for hydrogen. It's used to indicate the concentration of hydrogen ions in a fluid. So water is H2O, 2 hydrogen, H2, 2 hydrogen ions, 1 oxygen. So as I add more hydrogen, it it lowers the pH, becomes more and more acidic. So the more hydrogen I have, the more acid I become. The less hydrogen I have, the more alkaline I become, okay? Now, as I reduce hydrogen, I'm increasing oxygen. Okay, does that make good sense to you guys? Now, dissolved acids are what produces hydrogen ions. Now, what's an ion? Ion is any molecule, atom, that will carry an electrical charge, okay? So it can be positive or negative, but that's what an ion is. It's something that can hold an electrical charge. The more hydrogen ions, the more acidic the solution will be. What is a hydrogen ion? Okay, so I've got electrons, protons, and neutrons, okay? And so anything that a hydrogen ion is something, protons are positively charged particles, acid is a substance that gives off hydrogen ions, while its opposite, alkaline, is a substance that accepts positive hydrogen ions. So one repels them, one accepts them, okay? Now you gotta get in your head, this is a backwards thing. When you're reducing something, usually that means losing weight. You're reducing, you're getting skinny, you're losing something. Here, when I'm reducing, I'm gaining an electron. Okay, so it's like backwards English. The way we think of reducing is something that's losing weight or losing electrons. I'll make this clearer over here. Acid gives off hydrogen ions, while alkaline accepts hydrogen ions. They can react with one another, altering the balance of a substance. So in the body, the bicarbonate ion is a major base, alkaline, that transforms and neutralizes acids by taking on their hydrogen ions. So when I'm putting baking soda, it's going to suck up hydrogen ions and neutralize whatever it was sitting in. See how that works? So that's why it's an alkalizing substance. It sucks up each hydrogen. Hydrogen ions can be thought of as hiding in the body's water molecules, ready to react with other molecules. These hydrogen ions, once they become attached to various proteins, alter or denature them. This is how hydrochloric acid aids in the protein digestion. Right? When we eat food, our stomach makes hydrochloric acid. Because it's going to make this acid so it can like break these things, start pulling the hydrogen and stuff, just ripping it apart. Otherwise, you have a big break in your stomach, you wouldn't be able to finish dinner. All right? So it's hiding here in the rest of the substance in my body. Now, on the same subject, tap water, normal tap water with a pH of 7 is approximately neutral in the pH scale of 0 to 14. When measured with an ORP meter, the electrical device, okay, oxidation reduction potential, it's redox. Now, redox is reduction. Reduction, oxidation, it's like a word that combines oxidation and reduction. Is oxidation, what's that doing? You're getting older, right? Redox, it's adding electrons, okay? So its potential is approximately 400 to 500 positive millivolts, which means it's aging you. You're getting older faster. Because it has a positive redox potential, it is apt to acquire electrons and oxidize other molecules. Reduced alkaline ionized water, redux, okay, on the other hand, has a negative redox potential of approximately minus 250 to minus 850 millivolts. You see that every time we do a presentation up here, with a little meter in, it goes 800, depending on how old the water is. So you're getting a negative reading, minus. This means there's a large mass of electrons ready to donate to electron-thieving active oxygen. Still kind of confusing, isn't it? The term redox comes from the two concepts of reduction and oxidation. So think of it, it can be explained in simple terms. Oxidation describes the loss of electrons by a molecule, atom, or ion. So here I got a picture of my whole family, okay? When I'm oxidizing, I'm losing pictures out of my frame. My family is getting smaller, okay? That's what oxidation is. So it's aging me. The apple is turning brown. The fence is rusted. My skin is getting wrinkled. Reduction describes the gain of electrons by a molecule, atom, or ion. So here I'm gaining something, I'm getting strength here, and I've got my Energizer bunny, so I've got extra electrons. So this is reduction. I'm gaining here, I'm adding to it, because it sounds reduction's the backwards word again. And here I'm oxidizing, I'm actually losing electrons. Okay, whoops. Okay, ooh, terrible slide. So you guys have all seen this from 1 to 14. You can't see here, but these are all positives. It has a positive charge, which is acid. All the alkaline has a negative charge, this is an electron, which is why your voltage has to be in the negative 20 to 25 millivolts to have your energy work, have your battery pump, be able to be the Energizer bunny. If you drop out of the negative zone and go into the positive zone. When you hit positive 30, that's when your cancer cells turn on. Which means you have, like, you're out of gas. You're completely, you just need recharge. Every glass of this water that you're drinking has billions of extra electrons to charge your body. So even if you don't feel thirsty, you're like Electro Man. You're like bulletproof. People can sneeze on you, you don't get sick. How come? Because I'm stockproof. I've got electrons to burn. I've got like a radiation shield on me. So every week I'm hugging people and talking to them, and they're gesundheit. Fine. I'm Electro Man. I've got, my body's full of electrons. That's why we carry these things around with us everywhere we go. And that's why they don't sell the water, they sell the machines, because the electrons get lost when you get water in the container. It'll last maybe 3 days, maybe, if the conditions are right. But even that water is better than anything else you can drink, so if you have nothing else, don't throw it away and drink that. But by all means, get a machine that makes high negative ORP, oxidation reduction water, so that every sip you're taking, you're not only you're increasing the vibration, which tells the fungus and mold and bacteria that wants to eat you, there's nobody home. Don't eat here. Okay? It's cleaning your colon, because the colon is where all the undigested food sits, and the vibration gets slower and slower. Pretty soon the oxygen's not going through it, and all the guys go, hey, there's plenty to eat, come on down, and it starts munching out and get Crohn's disease, ulcerative colitis, colon cancer, and I guess I'm going to show you some of that today too, which is, it's pretty sad, but that's the truth of the situation here. Okay. Since pH measurements were first used, now the body, to remain healthy, has to be slightly alkaline. Oxygen-rich, arterial blood, pH reading 7.365 to 7.45 is necessary. Now this is the blood pH. A significant, now blood pH and body fluids are different, aren't they? When I go to the bathroom, I don't pee blood, hopefully. Do you have a problem? Okay. So blood, I got a bunch of different fluids in my body. And they all have a different pH. And I'm going to show you a chart of what happens, what parts of your body are different pH levels. Kind of a cool thing to see. But my blood is a great equalizing guy. He's the big balancer. That no matter what's happening to my bones, or my teeth, or my hair, or my skin, or my intestines, my blood is going to take anything it can from any part of my body to maintain 7.365 to 7.45. Because that's the heartbeat of everything. Everything has to be at that range. And so when you start losing voltage, you start losing minerals, your blood is going to say, you're not going to like this much, but it's going to go to your bones and start sucking calcium out of your bones so it can keep the pH high, because calcium is going to raise my pH to keep me above 7.365. Because as I go below here, if I go down to 7, I'm chronically, 7.365, don't forget, this is times 10. Everything I say is 10 times 10 times 10. So if I go from 7 to an 8, that's 10 times more alkalinity or 10 times more acid than just one number. So 7.365 to 7.45 doesn't seem like a lot, but I've got, at 7.45, I've got 65% more oxygen in my blood than I do at 7.365. 65% more at 1/10 of a point difference. It's like, wow, it's amazing. So every sip you take, you're affecting the balance, not only of your blood, but if you're not keeping your blood high, keeping the pH in the right zone, the voltage in the right zone there, what happens is all the other fluids, the fluid around the cell, it's called extracellular fluid, the fluid inside the cell called the intercellular fluid, all of that is subject to being borrowed by the blood. And the lymphatic system is going to help do that. So everything you do has to make sure that you're giving your body plenty of raw materials. Because if you're going to build a house, and let's say you buy an old house, it's got termite damage. What if you paint all the termite wood? How good's the house? Nothing. I've hidden it. It looks good, doesn't it? Maybe I can sell it to the next guy, but that's not the way to do it. You got to replace that wood. You got to have some new building materials. Tear out that wood, put new stuff up so it's now strong again, then paint it. So the same thing's happening in my body. I've got to make sure I've got enough raw materials in my body so that all the other fluids and tissues have enough to keep their levels high so that my blood's not sucking it dry. It's like a vampire, because I got like a living vampire in my body. He'll take everything he can to keep your body in the right balance here. A significant shift away from these ideal pH values is not compatible with life, and will therefore cause death in a short period of time. That's pretty huge consequence, don't you think? While small shifts are not immediately life-threatening, they endanger our health and set up the stage for development of disease. The regulation of hydrogen ion concentration is one of the most important aspects of homeostasis. This actually comes from a medical textbook. Okay? Now, you ask your doctor, they don't know anything about acid and alkaline, nothing, because they had 2 hours in med school. Of all the years of med school, they get 2 hours of nutrition. 2 hours. That's it. You know more about it if you've read Dr. Theodore Baruti's book. Okay? You know more about it than they do, because you care. You're a hammer and that's a nail. That's what you're going to go hit. Okay? Until recently, mainstream medical establishments have overlooked low-grade pH imbalances. Fortunately, holistic physicians have kept the link alive to the benefit of those women. How many holistic physicians do we have today? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, there's a bunch of us here in the room. And by the way, we have a list of all the doctors that are Kangen practitioners in our group. If you want to know that, if you want to add to that, please get yourself on that list, because we try to do business with people who have the like-minded, we're all hammers, we're all nails. Your body has to have something you can do to neutralize the acid. Because every meal you're making the acid. The acid is being made in your stomach. Every time you put food in your stomach pH is going to add hydrochloric acid to break down that food. And then that acid, I'm going to show you where it goes, but it gets stored inside your blood tissue, inside your cells. So we have to have a way to get that out. And so these buffer systems are known as bicarbonate, phosphate, and protein. It's 3 different buffer systems. And these are like the antidote that will come and neutralize the acid that our body's making every time we eat. They help maintain stable cellular and blood acid-alkaline balance. Now, the primary organs that work to eliminate acid buildup in the body are the kidney, lungs, skin, don't forget the liver, pancreas, and the gallbladder, and of course your intestines. So it's hard to think of your intestines as an organ, but it's a big pile of stuff. Just like it's hard to think about your skin as an organ. That's the biggest organ on your body, okay? So all these guys, every millisecond, they get little probes out saying, what's the pH, what's the pH, what's the pH? Is it acid, is that? They're always trying to figure it out. And every millisecond that they're figuring what that number is, it's either adding a buffer or it's making an acid. Because it's always got to be doing something to keep your body in that balance. And when you're young, your body doesn't know what's going on. You're just oblivious. You can have a hangover, you don't know. When you're old, your body knows everything. It's like, oh, what did you do there? It figures it right out. Okay? Now, some of these organs play a more significant role. All are engaged in the important activity of preserving internal pH balance. Now, here's a picture of the guys that play. Do you have a picture of this in your little pile? Yes, good. So we know what these guys are, right? Lungs. Know what the heart is. Who knows what that guy is? Liver. Where is your liver? Touch it. Right side. Okay, yes, your liver is right here, right side. Okay? Stomach. And then I got a left kidney and a right kidney. I got a spleen. Now, spleen also is part of my immune system. We're not going to talk too much about him, but he's part of that same balances. He's the red blood cell bag. Okay? Then I've got a pile of small intestines right here. And you have 3 parts of your colon. You have the ascending, the transverse, and the descending colon. So then we're going to go through these guys because you got to know what they do and how they work together. All right? Now, acidosis is the basic foundation of all disease. That's a huge statement. Acidosis is the basic foundation of all disease. Is that huge? Yeah. If you have a disease, what's the basis of it? What's the foundation? Acidosis. How do you get acidosis? Not washing the acid out. You can't stop it. You can't help making acid, but you can control keeping it or getting rid of it, because your job is getting rid of it. That's our mission. Every time we eat something, we're going to make acid. We're going to make sure it's leaving, none of us have to leave the building. We got to get this out of here. Okay? We need to understand the simple process of alkalizing the body and the important role of the proper alkalized body plays in restoring maintaining overall health. Our glands and organs function properly in exact proportion to the amount of alkaline acid levels in our system. So you've got to be exact right number here. Now here's your heart. The heart's one of the most alkaline dependent organs in the body. Who knew that? You don't even think about that. Your heart's going to do what it's going to do. You're awake, you're asleep, you're running. It just automatically kicks up, kicks down, keeps its own pressure. But it's partially innervated or supplied by the vagus nerve, which functions best in an alkaline environment. Now here, let's go back to this picture. You got a nerve that goes all the way from your brain and goes through your entire body, the vagus nerve, and it touches every single organ. It goes in and it's plugged into everybody. Every single organ, it gets touched by this vagus nerve. You've never heard of it, okay? And what? What's he do? He's pretty important here now. So the heart's one of the most important alkaline-dependent organs in the body. Is innervated or supplied by the vagus nerve, which functions best in alkaline heart. Correct heartbeat is altered by acid waste. How many heart attacks do we have going on up there?
A lot.
Millions a day. Millions. Not just 100, a couple hundred, thousands, millions. These wastes rob the blood of proper oxygenation and degeneration of the heart follicles. What happens when you start to degenerate? Here comes the army of little guys to get taken away. An alkaline system creates an ideal heart function. So all these athletes here have to make sure, you know, the New York Yankees have this machine. All the Yankees are drinking this water. You know that?
Right.
So does that give them an advantage over every other team they're playing?
Yeah.
Yeah. Is it legal?
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, of course. It's water, okay? But if you talk to most athletes, they're drinking Gatorade. How many people watch these college bowls during New Year's? Did you guys see, I can't think of the game, I'm not that good at football, but I was watching one of the games, and the team who was supposed to win, their lead starts to disappear. The underdogs keep coming back, and this team can't get out of their own way. What's going on? Their top players are all getting dehydration. They're sucking Gatorade down, all these players, they got a big bowl of Gatorade, and they're all getting dehydrated. Their voltage is dropping. They're getting so acidic they can't even play the game. They won the game by like 5 points just by the last second because the other team fumbled and messed up. Every team that's out drinking these drinks, these Gatorades and Monsters and Red Bulls, are killing their players. All the professional athletes are starting to figure this out. They're advertising to drink Gatorade. They're not drinking it because they know better. They know it restricts, it contracts, it kills the energy level of the body. So it's anybody that has a high school athlete, get them on this water. Swimmers, runners, surfers, it doesn't matter what it is. If they're drinking any sports drinks or any sodas, it's taking 10 days for their body to recover from one soda. That's a long time. That's a long recovery period. Okay? Okay. The kidneys, let's talk about these guys. There are paired organs. We got two of them, left and right. Hopefully you still have them both. Which have the production of urine as their primary function. They are part of the urinary system, but have several secondary functions concerned with homeostatic functions. These include regulation of electrolytes. My kidneys are controlling electrolytes. What's an electrolyte? Electrolytes, any substance containing free ions that make the substance electrically conductive. Okay? So can that be positive and negative? Yes, it can. So my kidney is going to control my electrolytes, acid-alkaline balance, and blood pressure. So that's a pretty important function for my kidney. Kidney is also responsible for the reabsorption of glucose and amino acids. So not just giving stuff out, but taking it back in, because they got to recycle it. So it's a recycling center. Kidneys are important in the production of hormones, including vitamin D. Who knew your kidneys could make vitamin D? So that's what they're doing, which is the same thing when you go out in the sun. Making vitamin D, okay, your body will make it. The kidneys excrete increased levels of hydrogen ions. Wow. So what are they doing? They're getting rid of acid, because hydrogen is what? Acid. Every time you go to the bathroom, why do you think lifeguards take the pH of the swimming pool? Try to see how many kids are peeing in the pool. That's acid coming out, these little kids swimming around. Yee-hee! So all the hydrogen is coming out of their urine, and the lifeguards are going, oh man, I gotta change this. Can't be swimming around and pee. So kidneys are excreting increased levels of hydrogen. This process acts as a filtering mechanism that dilutes the acids and moves them out of the bloodstream. Okay? So that's what our kidneys are doing here. 1 liter of blood per minute. This is a liter. Are your kidneys busy? A minute. That's a lot, isn't it? Now, I'm not saying you're gonna, that's its capacity. You're not doing that because you're not giving it enough to do. You're not putting it in. So when people say, can I drink too much Kangen water? What's the answer? No. No. Your kidneys are they're on snooze patrol. Give me something to do. I can do a liter a minute. Okay? So no, they're not going to get alkalosis drinking this Kangen water. It's going to help flush out the capillaries. And don't forget, we have the lymphatic system tied to the vascular system, and it all has to have the minerals, the alkaline minerals, and my kidney has plenty of excess capacity. In adult, about 1 liter of blood per minute passes through the kidneys. By executing their primary duty, the kidneys keep the blood alkaline and extract acid. So I'm keeping the alkaline, I'm getting rid of acid. It's a little separating sheet. When we make Kangen water, what are we making? 2 waters, right? What and what? Acid and alkaline. I can't make alkaline water without making alkaline, right? I've got to separate it. So we have like a big kidney machine, is what the Kangen water machine is, right? So you have to understand, your body is doing the same thing. It's keeping the alkaline and getting rid of the acid. So here, I'm taking tap water, I'm getting rid of the acid, and I'm putting in the alkaline. That's what we're doing, just like my kidneys doing inside my body. It's kind of a genius thought. Imagine that. Kidneys that are overstressed with too much acidity create kidney stones, which are composed of waste, acid cells, and mineral salts that have become gummed together in a waste acid substance. Therefore, by reducing acid-forming products from entering the body, the chances are better that you can avoid this painful condition. Now, how many people have been told that kidney stones are too much calcium? Everyone. That's a lie. That's not true at all. Okay? Here's what a kidney stone looks like. Isn't that pretty? Until you pee it out. Yes.
A friend of mine told me that his doctor told him he needs to drink acidic water because of his kidney stones and he needs to have acid. And he said our machine wouldn't be good for him.
His doctor's an idiot. He's an idiot. Yes, that's dead wrong. A kidney stone is a hard mineral deposit formed in the kidneys from phosphates and urates. That is not calcium. Now, a salt of phosphoric acid contains some calcium to neutralize the highly poisonous phosphoric acid. For this reason, kidney stones look like a white calcium deposit. People blame excess calcium as the cause of kidney stones, but they are confused. It's acid minerals. Kidney stones dissolve in an alkaline solution. Calcium dissolves kidney stones. Okay? It dissolves them. That is not, oh, someone's 50 bucks. Okay. Phone's off, the break's over. Turn your phones off, okay? Okay. Now, how many people know people with kidney stones? I'm gonna embarrass my friend here, Moses. Moses is my Samoan friend that he's just building a beautiful business. Moses, can you stand up a second here in the back? Can you tell everybody what happened? Hey, Moses, thank you. Can you tell everybody what happened with your kidney stones? What was the history of them?
When I was 14 years old, I had kidney stones, and I had all the medical problems. You know, I had the laser treatment that broke it up, put a catheter in me during the bout, and I just recently found out about the water last year. 2 weeks on the water, peed out stones, and since then I couldn't help but share with everybody. And I have friends with me here, and it's been very amazing. And you're absolutely right. That's my story. So that's the beginning of Moses.
In 2 weeks drinking this water, it changes pH enough that it dissolves these stones. Out they come. They come out. Not in rock size giving birth to a dinosaur. That's something you can actually pee out and live. Okay? It's not like giving birth. No, it's not. It's never a pleasant experience. It's not like let's have a party and watch it pee. But it's better than having a kidney stone in your body because if you're making one, you're making two. You're making three. You're making five. They're getting bigger, and your body's gummed up. So that's what a kidney stone looks like. So anybody here know someone with kidney stones? Talk to them. What do you say? Watch this DVD, give me your opinion, right? Watch this DVD, give me your opinion, right? Show them this list of 25 things that happen, and they'll understand some more. Now, how do kidneys work? The kidneys have the ability to monitor the amount of body fluid, the concentrations of electrolytes like sodium and potassium, and the acid alkaline balance of the body. They filter waste products of body metabolism like urea from protein and uric acid from DNA breakdown. That's interesting, huh? When blood flows to the kidney, sensors within the kidney decide how much water to excrete as urine. So it's making a decision. I'm getting rid of some, I'm keeping some. Ever wonder when you go pee, you pee everything out? Gone. 15 minutes later, you gotta pee, right? And you had nothing to drink. What's going on? Your kidney made a choice. I'm saving some, I'm keeping some. Get rid of some, okay? So it goes like this. When blood flows to the kidney, the sensors in the kidney decide how much water to excrete as urine, along with what concentrations of electrolytes. So it's keeping, the kidney's a pretty smart thing. It's deciding how much minerals I'm keeping, how much I'm getting rid of, how much fluid I'm keeping, how much I'm getting rid of. For example, if a person is dehydrated from exercise or from an illness, the kidneys will hold on to as much water as possible, and the urine becomes very concentrated. Bright yellow pee, right? When adequate water is present in the body, the urine is much more diluted, and the urine becomes clear. This system is controlled by renin, a hormone produced in the kidneys that is part of the fluid and blood pressure regulation systems of the kidney. If your urine is full of color, you're dehydrated. Okay? Now, vitamin people, you all know that when you take vitamins, you can just about stain the toilet when you get done taking vitamins, right? Most of it is going through your system, and you just take your vitamins and flush them down the toilet. It's probably quicker. Just get rid of that. Because unless you're taking your vitamins with cognitive water, you're not absorbing it. You guys remember that six-sided hexagonal molecule we're talking about? Inside that hexagonal molecule is a mineral. That's what it takes a mineral, takes a vitamin, takes a mineral, and locks it inside, and that's what takes it through the transportation through your walls into your cells. That's how the minerals get in there. If you're drinking tap water or bottled water, is it hexagonal? No. It's bulk water. You got a big clump of water with all kinds of stuff in it. It's not carrying anything because it's 17% is getting in, 80% is going around the cell out in the urine as stained toilet seat. That's what you're doing. Oh. Unless you miss. Okay. So my kidney is deciding what state I'm in, how much to keep, how much to get rid of. But you got to give it something to work with because it can handle 1 liter a minute. The kidneys receive blood through the renal artery. The blood is passed through the structure of the kidneys called nephrons, where waste products and excess water pass out of the bloodstream. So here I've got fresh live blood coming in. This is to go out. But you see how it's hooked straight to it? It's taken in and out. So it's got its own little direct link. So everything coming in has got its own line. It's not borrowing something from somebody else. Then it comes in here. So I've got blood with waste products coming in. It then goes through these little nephrons, get cleaned out, and then I get clean blood going out. Okay. And then I got a renal. Then I got the uterus. So all the bad stuff goes down here, and this goes out in our waste. That's our urine. Okay. So it's kind of a neat little system how that works. Now, the function of the prostate, since we're down there in that same area, let's talk about him for a second. How many people know someone with prostate problems? Okay, it's a big one. It's a big one because your prostate's full of acid. It changes shape, and when it changes shape, you can't pee. When you can't pee, you're going to have all kinds of problems. You have to back up, and it's not a fun one. And of course, prostate cancer is the next thing that follows. But the function of the prostate is to store and secrete a slightly alkaline pH 7.29 fluid, milky or white in appearance. That usually constitutes 25 to 35%, 30% of the volume of the semen along with spermatozoa. So this guy, here's a little prostate. Got this guy and this guy on the side. So as my bladder is emptying out, it's got two little gatekeepers, my prostate. And when this swells up, what happens is, when it swells up, nothing's coming out. Okay, so there's a normal. Here, you can see it's bloated, it's all swollen. You're not peeing. And that's when you just go, out, you pee like a drop, and you gotta drop out another. So that's not a fun thing. So prostate cancer, so you get prostate. Now, so these guys are, they're the fluid makers. They're the guys that make sure everything works as it's supposed to, so you carry sperm and all the rest of it. So that's the carrying agent. And so they're important in our body's life cycle, so you want to take good care of these guys. And it makes an alkaline 7.29 fluid. Isn't that something? It's making, that's his job, is to make 7.29 alkaline fluid. The alkaline semen helps neutralize the acidity of the vaginal tract prolonging the lifespan of the sperm. Because the vaginal tract is very acidic, so it's wrapped in the sperm with an alkaline came like a little package to make sure it's terra firma. So he gets up there alive instead of eaten with acid. Okay? It's a precarious little trip they take. Okay? The kidneys utilize various alkali reserve compounds available from the diet. Now, if not available, the body calls upon alkali reserves stored in the watery layer around the bone and in the bone itself. So that's the savings part. It's got the mineral savings account as your bone. The layer of water around it and the water inside. At times, even the muscle tissue is broken down to release the alkalizing amino acid called glutamine, which is converted into ammonia. How many people have walked into an old folks' home and you think this is the cleanest place I've ever seen? It smells like ammonia, right? They're not cleaning it. The old people's body has no alkaline minerals left. What it does is it takes the muscle tissue, starts to deteriorate muscle tissue, converts it into ammonia so the body can neutralize itself. So when you smell something that smells like ammonia, they're rotting to death. That's what's happening. Old folks want to smell like that because they're not giving him anything except die. Hurry up and die. So that's what the ammonia smell is. If some you know it smells like ammonia, sit them down and give them an IV of this water. You put this in your body immediately. Okay? But that's where the ammonia comes from in old folks' home. Acids must be buffered prior to elimination, or acids with a pH of 4.5 or less would burn the delicate kidney tissue. So before you go, it has to raise it back up so it doesn't burn your little urinary tract. All right? Pretty amazing what's going on. Regardless of how efficient the kidneys are producing and recycling alkalizing bicarbonate, the kidneys can only eliminate a certain amount of acid every day. If alkalizing reserves are in short supply, if the body's production of acids is high, acidosis or acid buildup occurs in the body. If this buildup is beyond the kidney's capacity to make, the stage is set for a wide variety of health problems. And there we have the bloated guy. Full of urine, basically. His body's not eliminating anything. Right? Now, who's heard of dialysis? Okay? Dialysis is a machine. When kidneys are not functional, dialysis becomes necessary. In dialysis, the blood passes through an external membrane, which allows the waste products from the blood to pass out of the blood and into the dialysis fluid. So it's like a reverse osmosis system for blood. All the particles are being removed. Because of the rate of buildup in the waste products, it may be necessary to perform dialysis as many as 3 times a week. This is not a pleasant thing. Who knows somebody on dialysis? Pray for those people. I'm telling you, man, that's not a fun life they're living. Here's how this works. What does that mean? It's characteristic of dialysis machines that most of the blood out of the patient is out of the patient's body at any given time. So they suck all the blood, like a big vampire. It's sucking most of your blood out of your body at any given time is visible. This facilitates troubleshooting, particularly detection of clotting. So they want to see your blood. Patient arrives and is carefully weighed, standing and sitting blood pressure is taken, temperature is taken. The access is set up for patients with a surgical modification to an arm or a leg, they can make more robust, and therefore usable for high capacity blood movement required by dialysis. This means they insert 2 large gauge needles into the fistula. So I got a picture of that for you, see a fistula. So they have this thing that goes into your vein like an IV, but they have a special thing that's built into your skin now because they're just sticking this thing in your arm all day, 3 times a week. This is painful for the patient, but there are various methods of numbing the entry sites before the needles are inserted. Not a good life. What's the process? They hook you up to this machine, suck this fistula in your arm. The pump and timer are started, hemodialysis is underway. Every half hour, the blood pressure is taken. As a practical matter, fluid is always removed during dialysis. Most dialysis patients are on moderate to severe fluid-restricted diets, in addition to other dietary restrictions. Now, who knows that in adjective in their manual says, if your patient has renal failure, don't give them the water. Just read that. Okay? Renal failure means your kidneys are failing. That's what that means. Now, so Ignatius taking the position, we're not touching it. If you've got it, we're not touching it. There's a bunch of other problems out there. Now, on the practical standpoint, I've got distributors in my group whose children are on dialysis and they don't care. Or they have people who are diagnosed for dialysis starting next week. Next week, we're going to start. This is your life. Welcome to your future. They said, no. They've given their children this water, and they no longer are on dialysis. So I've seen results work, but the company's policy is it's their choice, not the company. So I'm just letting you clear on that. Because your kidneys have all kinds of stuff they can do, but if you unplug them, they're not going to work. They're going to start turning into acid, you're going to get eaten, they're going to get dissolved, you're going to lose your kidneys, and that's not a life to live. So take care of your kidneys, man, because this is the alternative right now. It sounds like something out of some horror movie. Okay? So they're removing, this much fluid can cause low blood pressure as you're moving. Oh, the amount of fluid removed is set by the dialysis nurse according to the patient's estimated dry weight. What do you weigh without blood? Imagine that. I bet, who thinks that's a good way to lose weight? Nah, I think I'll keep my blood, okay? Monitoring is intended to detect this before it becomes too severe. Low blood pressure can cause cramping, nausea, shakes, dizziness, lightheadedness, unconsciousness, just to say a few. Occasionally, patients have low blood pressure and lose consciousness. How nice is that? Okay? Often temporary, not good. So here we go, let's go to the lungs now. The lungs work to keep the body's pH level balanced by eliminating volatile gas formed acids. So every organ we have, what's their job? Getting rid of acid. That's all they do all day is getting rid of acid. That's what we do. Our body's making it with everything we eat and drink. Every organ is designed to get that acid out of our body. So it's up to us to make sure they're working right. Okay. As you breathe, the carbon dioxide produced through metabolic process inside your body combines with water in the blood. Okay, now let's talk about this on a technical chemical level in a second here. This combination produces carbonic acid, which is carbon dioxide in water, it's carbonic acid together, which the lungs eliminate as respiration. Okay? Fat that you have to lose, you want to lose 20 pounds, every single pound of fat you have to lose has to be converted from fat through a 7-stage process into vapor, carbonic acid. All the fat comes through your breath. So if you want to lose weight, breathe faster. Kick it in. Because that's fat, acid, it's acid coming out of your breath every time. This combination, okay, increased respiration rate is a telltale sign of overacidity. So if someone's just sitting there panting, they're so acidic, their body's just trying to get that acid out in normal breathing fashion, okay? Now here's the mechanics of breathing. We all know how this works. Oxygen in, your body's using it up, it takes it, all this oxygen goes through all your little cells. Each time the pump comes back, all the burnt fuel comes back out, and now your body burns out the carbon dioxide. So that goes. Okay? So in with the good, out with the bad, every breath is moving acid with every single breath. If someone has really bad breath, we've all experienced that, it may not just be bad teeth. Usually that's also a case where you have so much acid that it's just a stinky breath. You have so much acid in that person's body, give them a big gulp of water to help their breath. It works pretty quick. This water goes right in your system, like right now, okay? Now, this is hard to see, but I want you to see this. Some of the major short-term effects on the body during exercise. When I'm exercising, my oxygen is used up, my CO2 is produced, hydrogen is produced, lactic acid is produced, temperature is increased, and pH is lowered. Are any of those things good for you? No. So it seems like exercise is destroying our body, doesn't it? But we got to do that to make sure the other side, breathing rates increase, heart rates increase, because I've got to get these acids out of my body. I got to use it or I'm going to lose it. Okay? So that's the process of when I'm exercising. All these things are happening. I'm using up oxygen. All cells in the body, now this is homeostasis, continually exchange chemicals, nutrients, waste products, and ions with the external fluid surrounding them. So every cell, you've got 80 trillion cells in your body. Every cell, every single day, every second is exchanging waste and taking in the good out bad. Every second is exchanging good and bad, good and bad, good and bad. So it's pretty important that everybody is communicating down there to make sure everything's moving around. Okay? This external fluid, in turn, this is the fluid outside the cell, exchanges chemicals with the blood being pumped throughout the body. Hence, the chemical composition of blood and therefore of the external fluid is extremely important to the cell. For instance, the pH of blood and the external fluid is too low. If it's too low, too many hydrogen ions, then excess ions will enter the cell. Obviously, if I have too much hydrogen, that's going to reduce my body. Maintaining proper pH is critical to chemical reactions that occur in the body in order to maintain, okay, we know this, it's all called homeostasis, balance. So once again, here's how it's exchanged. This diagram shows the flow of chemicals across membranes between the cells, the extracellular fluid, and the blood in the capillaries. So here's my vein, my arteries. It's bringing the good stuff in. Here's the fluid outside the cell. So the bad stuff comes here, the good stuff comes here. It's exchanging it. So every second, every nanosecond, every cell in your body is exchanging good for bad all the time. And then this goes back in here, and it taps into the lymphatic system. Once again, the lymphatic system is tied in here to get more waste out so it will go through your kidneys, through your lungs, and get out of your body. It's got to leave your body someplace besides just when you go to the bathroom. Now the buffers work. We talked about this for a second. The kidneys and lung work together. 3.65. Okay. Let's go here. Look a little closer. Okay, here's a little chemistry for those who like chemistry, which is one of the things I like. The pH of blood is dependent only on the ratio of the amount of CO2, carbonic acid, in the blood to the amount of HCO3 bicarbonate. So CO2 is carbonic acid, and HCO3 is bicarbonate ion present in the blood. Okay. This ratio remains relatively constant because the concentrations of both bicarbonate HCO3 and carbon dioxide, carbonic acid, is relatively large. So I've got huge amounts of both compared to the amount of hydrogen added to the blood during normal activities and moderate exercise. So it's going to be tough to move these two, but the hydrogen is the fluctuating factor that determines if I'm really acidic, if I'm really alkaline or not. So once again, I'm back to the hydrogen. When hydrogen added to the blood as a result of metabolic processes, the amount of bicarbonate relative to the CO2 is decreased. Or the amount of change is tiny compared to the amount of bicarbonate present in the blood. So once again, your bicarbonate and your carbonic acids, you're not going to move those around as much as you can the hydrogen. Now, this is hard to see.
Turn off the lights.
Yeah, can you pop the lights on me for a second here? Okay, here's another person. There we go. This shows the major organs that help control the blood concentrations of CO2 and HCO3, and thus help control the pH of the blood. So, as I'm exercising, my lungs are removing the carbon dioxide, right? Carbonic acid. Kidneys are removing my bicarbonate. So I've got these two functions dumping it out. The heart rate hinders CO2 removal, high heart rate. So at the same time, I've got two different functions, lungs and kidneys, working to make sure, as my heart's pumping, because my CO2 is hindered with a higher heart rate, but these guys are pumping so much waste out of my body that it's enough that I can stay alive even though my heart rate's increased. So as I increase heart rate, I'm burning more oxygen. As I burn more oxygen, I'm making more CO2. It's one side. You can't make acid without making alkaline. You can't make alkaline without making acid. So removing CO2 from the blood helps increase the pH. Removing HCO3 from the blood helps lower the pH. Okay? All right. Now this is a little slide. It just shows that optimal buffering occurs between 5.1 and 7.1, okay, right here, which is where your normal blood pH is 7.365. So as I'm moving the HCO3 and the CO2 around, I have a buffering capacity that changes as I increase my exercise amount. Okay, so we can go back to the lights back on. What's alkalosis? Normal breathing, hyperventilation. How many people, when you were kids, would stand around and you go, and somebody grab by the chest, and that guy go, he'd pass out and take it before me go. You guys do that? Well, we did. Because what happens is when you take your breath, you take a bunch of oxygen and someone holds your chest, and you hold your breath, you have too much oxygen. You have alkalosis, temporary alkalosis. And you actually pass out. But your body can get rid of alkaline very easy. So as soon as you lay on the ground and take a breath, out goes the excess acid. And you're breathing excess acid in to neutralize that alkaline factor, and you become conscious again. You guys didn't know that? You did. Okay, so the sick people like, okay, so there's a couple. Oh yeah, okay. We thought that was fun. We played with cardboard boxes and knocked each other out. That's what we did for fun. That's before we had Xbox. Okay. Okay. So alkalosis is a condition where the body is overly alkaline. Hard to do unless you really make it happen like that. But if you spin and get a buzz. Okay, the rate of breathing generally decreases. The body is attempting to retain enough acids to reverse excess alkaline and preserve pH balances. The production, neutralization, and excretion of volatile gases, acid, goes on unaffected by dietary practices. You hear that? So no matter what you're eating, you're still going to have this buffering. Your body's still going to go on, get rid of the acid, no matter if you're eating steaks or you're eating vegetables. Your body still has to buffer the acid. Okay, protect your lungs. Lights off again. I'm going to show you this is a picture of healthy lungs. Here's smoker's lungs. You're like this. Okay. So this tissue can breathe. This is clearly already in necrosis. You can see it's starting to die. People are eating it. There's all kinds of things feasting on that lung. Okay. So, unfortunately, the younger generation is still smoking. If you look outside, you see, go to college campuses, it's still a cool thing to be smoking. We all did it. I used to be a 3-pack-a-day smoker. I had a cigarette going, and I'd wake up in the morning, I'd light another one, I had like 3 burning in the house at all times. And not even know it, just consciously stinky like a cigarette plant. That was 100 years ago, but it's still happening now in a younger generation. They're still killing themselves because they don't think this is going to happen to them. But this is the guy who's going to be parked in front of Walmart with prescriptions. This is the guy who's going to be playing tennis in the 70s. Different choice. You have the choice, healthy lungs or smoker's lung. Okay, the skin. We'll turn the lights back on again. Now, I'm going to start going through here. The skin, through its sweat glands, is the final organ responsible for eliminating acids. Now, you guys realize the inside of your body is alkaline, and I'll show you different numbers. Your outside has got to be acid. Okay? It's got to be acid. The skin accomplishes this through perspiration, which helps flush acid from the body. The skin's capable of eliminating 1.2 liters of sweat every hour. That's a sweaty person. Okay? That's when you're running full blast. That's a lot of sweat on your body. The kidneys can filter over 400 gallons a day, we know that. Produce about 2.9 liters of urine over 24 hours, although this amount may vary according to circumstances. Skin has an acid mantle. If your skin was not acidic, every time a germ landed on you, you'd grow something. You'd look like a chia pet. You have this fuzzy stuff on your body. So it's a good thing we have acid on our outside, otherwise every germ would be growing stuff. Okay? Chia. Oh, you usually turn the lights off and the whole crowd would go to sleep in a half an hour. So yes, I was giving this talk to myself, so we tortured you with bad light. The acid mantle is a very fine, slightly acidic film. What's that?
How about half the lights?
Turn off one light switch. Let's just see how that works. If the guy next to you falls asleep,
That's it.
is that better? Okay. Now, I had a choice of chia pets. I could have picked the ones of the presidents with hair like this. So I thought I'd pick the original chia that we all know what he is. You know? How many actually ever owned the chia pet? It's amazing. Or the pet rock. Remember that pet rock? I had that too. Okay, switch the other light. I'd like to get better the other way. Yeah, this light's off here. Okay. Okay, so the outside of your skin is very slightly acidic film on the surface, acting as a barrier to bacteria, viruses, and other potential contaminants that might penetrate the skin. The pH of the skin is between 4 and 5.5, so it is acidic. These contaminants and other chemicals are primarily alkaline in nature, and the skin's moderate acidity helps neutralize their chemical effects as part of the adaptive immune system. Okay?
Hey, Michael?
Yes?
With the lights down, it sounds like they can't get
Oh,
you.
we can't film.
You're in the-
Okay, well, sorry.
There's just a shadow up there, kind of moving.
Okay, so we have to, sorry. Next time we'll use lights, so we'll turn the light back on.
There you go.
Chia? Okay, how's that work? Is that better on that
Perfect,
side?
that's better.
Okay, so can you guys put up with this?
Yeah.
You guys, okay, you're not gonna protest? No revolting over here? Okay. Well, anyway, I can't see it. Oh, myself, okay. Excretion, sweat contains urea. Urea, what is that? Same stuff that comes out of your urine, right? However, its concentration is 1/130th that of urine, since excretion by sweating is at most secondary function to temperature. So you can see I'm not really getting in a lot of acid when I sweat. It's mostly the temperature, immune function when I sweat. Humans do not absorb oxygen through the skin. Isn't that nice? Water resistant. The skin acts as a water resistant barrier, so essential nutrients aren't washed out of the body. Kind of like a wetsuit. Our skin's like a wetsuit. It's just not. It's not going to absorb oxygen. It's not going to leak. Kind of cool stuff we have, and it's the largest organ in our body. Okay, once again, this is a cross section. I wanted to show you this because it interfaces with the environment. Skin plays a key role in protecting against pathogens, excessive water loss, and other functions are insulation, temperature regulation, sensation, synthesis of vitamin D, and the protection of vitamin B. Now, here, this is a hair follicle. this is what sweat glands look like. So you can see you have functions all the body. So you have blood vessels that feed it. So the blood's feeding the hair, the muscle, which you ever see your dog's hair in the back? You like that? We've got little muscles up there. So do we. We just can't. We're not very good at it. You have it in there? I can wiggle my ears. You just can't see them. But my sweat glands are kind of automatic. When I have something that needs cooling down, it just pops up moisture on the top up here. So you can see this little sweat gland up close, pops up moisture. And so these are really what's keeping our temperature controlled, as well as putting a little acid covering on us to make sure that stuff doesn't grow on our skin. The more your body's just amazing. I mean, just so many things going on, you just don't even think about, oh, and lights off, both lights. This is, you gotta take a picture of this. This is the first day of someone that we sprayed 2.5 of this guy who had MRSA, okay? And MRSA is flesh-eating bacteria, okay? That's not good. This guy's had this for years and years and years. Every prescription, every drug, everything you take. That's day 1. Here's day 2. Here's day 3. Wow. Is that awesome? This guy's, I should have the final pictures. This is gone. He's completely gone. It's been gone now for 6-7 months. Just gone, like a regular foot. Okay, lights back on. I just wanted you to see that versus slide. Yes?
They've been doing that with gangrene in Japan for 25 years.
Yeah, Japanese have invented this. They know what's going on with this. But we in America, there's no cure for MRSA in America. It's an autoimmune disease. Once you get it, you get it. And I'm just telling you, don't check into the hospital in Tucson. You're going to get it. Pretty much everybody I know that goes to the hospital are afraid of coming out with MRSA. Because if you get it, you know somebody has it, take a bottle of 2.5 and do them a favor. Yes?
My brother-in-law had it for a year on his face. 2.5 in less than 30 days. Gone.
Gone, man. So that's an amazing thing that we've got all these powerful things that we don't even, because all we're doing is drinking water and giving it to our friends and we're afraid to call them back, right? That's all we're doing. So we're trying to learn the system. That, look at this. If someone has MRSA, they're praying, dear God, send me some answer to this uncurable problem. And there it is. Now, what is the stomach? Is that a stomach or what? It's an organ of digestion. It has a sac-like shape, that's like a boiler shape, and is located between the esophagus and the intestine. It's muscular, elastic, pear-shaped bag lying crossway in the abdomen cavity between the diaphragm. It changes size and shape according to its position in the body and the amount of food inside, obviously. The stomach is supposed to be about 12 inches long and is about 6 inches wide at the widest point. The stomach's capacity is about 1 quart in an adult, but that can be abused. Okay? Now here's the part I want you to know. The stomach has 5 layers. It lies between the esophagus, we know where it is, and the duodenum. Now let's talk about this. The top is where the food comes in. The bottom part, the top part's the fundus up here, okay? And the duodenum is a section outside the stomach. The first part of the small intestine is called the duodenum. That's called, people call it duodenum, duodenum. There's 100 ways to say it, but duodenum is the right way according to med school. Now, or so they say. But it's the first part of the small intestine. So the upper left part of the abdomen, and the top of the stomach lies against the diaphragm. Lying between the stomach is the pancreas. So behind this is the pancreas. Starting from inside and working out, the innermost layer is called the mucosa. So the inside layer is the mucosa, and that's the layer that when you put food in, when the food with the enzymes mix inside the stomach, that's what makes hydrochloric acid. That's the trigger that says, make hydrochloric acid. I'll tell you how that makes it. But in your documents that you have here, I want you to notice that we have an article from Dr. Sang Wang that he talks about all the critics that say this water can't work because there's too much acid in your stomach. He goes through the scientific explanation why that's not true. Okay? Why alkaline water doesn't get destroyed by the acid in your stomach. Okay, so I want you to read that. I'm not going to read it, but I included 2 pages from Sang Wang from his book, Alkalizer Diet. Okay. Now, so I have the mucosa level, that's where the hydrochloric acid is made. All right. The stomach acids that are made in the mucosa layer. The next layer is called the submucosa. The submucosa is surrounded by the muscularis, a layer of muscle. and then I got another layer of muscle here. The next layer is the submucosa and the serosa, or the wrapping for the stomach. The serosa is the outermost layer of the stomach. But the one we're concerned about is the mucosa level, because that's where it's making hydrochloric acid. It has to be strong. Hydrochloric acid is 1.2 pH. It can be as high as 3, but it's usually around 1.2. Food enters the stomach from the esophagus, okay? Connection between the stomach is called the cardiac sphincter. This is like a little valve right here. You shut off. Heartburn, okay, the cardiac sphincter prevents food from passing back to the esophagus. Heartburn is a sensation when stomach juices is allowed to seep through the sphincter in the esophagus. So you get that thing. That's when the sphincter's valve is not working and it's coming back up, and that's called GERD. It's acid reflux, acid coming back up into your mouth, and it tastes horrible.
It's everywhere.
It's everywhere. Yeah. Okay, now, once the food enters the stomach, gastric juices are used to break down the food. Some substances are absorbed by the muscle lining of the stomach. Some of the substances the stomach absorbs is alcohol and Kangen water. So, Kangen water is being absorbed by the muscle lining in the stomach. It doesn't have to wait till it gets in your system. It's going down, it's being absorbed in your esophagus, it's being absorbed in the muscle lining. As it's in your stomach, it's being absorbed. It's microclustered molecules. That's why when you drink this the first time, how many people got a buzz when you drink the water for the first time? Or you actually tingle. Let me see what that's like. What is it? Okay? Because you're now absorbing it, not waiting for it to go through the whole cycle. It's microclustered, bringing the minerals in, and it's being absorbed in the stomach muscle lining, just like alcohol does, just like Kangen water does. Okay? Now, where's the food go? So at the other end of the stomach, it empties into the duodenum, goes through here, okay? There's another valve called the duodenum is the first section of the small intestine. The pyloric sphincter separates the stomach from the duodenum. So I got a little valve right here, and he's the guy that says, open sesame, I can either go or I can't go, okay? So I got two valves, top and the bottom. Now, hydrochloric acid. The stomach generates hydrochloric acid as needed. So in my stomach, my pH is going to be between 1 and 3, depending upon what hydrochloric acid is mixing with. So that's pretty strong, isn't it? That's pretty strong acid. When you figure 7 is neutral, and it's 10 times stronger when it goes from 7 to 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So this is like, in the 1 and 3, it's 100,000 times more acidic than a glass of water. That's a lot of acid. Now, as this now dumps into the duodenum, it's going to be, the duodenum is going to be hooked up to the pancreas here, and I'll show you how that works in a second. But the contents of the stomach include hydrochloric acid, pepsinogen, and mucus. 3 things. Oh great, I want more mucus, right? But I have to have it. One of the main functions of the highly acid content is to destroy the bacteria that are ingested and to activate pepsinogen, which is the enzyme that initiates the digestion and breakdown of proteins that are ingested. So it's all doing multiple functions, multiple tasks. Okay, there is no reserve pouch for hydrochloric acid, since it would damage the organ. So some people think you just got this little hydrochloric acid pouch, waiting to squirt it in. Nothing can hold it. It would eat whatever it's in. So it makes hydrochloric acid, and that's why I have mucus. The mucus provides protection to the stomach lining from the high acid content. Otherwise, it would eat my stomach. Every meal, you'd have holes in your stomach. That's why you have the mucus. It's just so many pieces working together here. When the pH goes higher than 4, the cells around the stomach generate hydrochloric acid from sodium chloride, salt, and carbonic acid to maintain stomach acidity. So here we have, what is this? NaCl, sodium chloride. Na is sodium chloride Cl. And H2CO3, which is bicarbonate. Okay? So that's what is, my body's making the same thing to make the carbonic acid to make sure I have stomach acidity. So now as the spoon goes through here, it goes to 6, and then it hits my small intestine. My small intestine has a pH between 7 and 8. Okay? And then it goes to my large intestine out here. And this part right here, I've got the ascending, transverse, and the descending colon. The large intestine in your colon has one function. That is squeezing all the water out of your food. That's all it does. Its job is to squeeze water out because it recycles the water. Your body can't afford to drink it and let it go out. Your body recycles 40,000 glasses of water a day. It uses that water again. That's such a huge number. My wife said, don't tell them that. It doesn't sound real. So that's what they're saying. That's what the bed books. Your body's recycling that water so many times, using it again and again. In that process of using water again and again and again, you burn up 8 to 10 glasses of water a day. How much water are you supposed to drink a day? How come? Now, you're replacing your lost fluid, but it's not fixing anything. Your body needs more than 8 glasses a day to fix anything. 8 glasses puts you back to break even. You don't want to operate on break even. You want to be operating on excess energy, excess alkalinity, excess fluid. I want to have more than I need so I can clean more acid than just sitting there. Because if I'm just breaking even, I'm cleaning the same old dirty dishes and the rest of them are still stacked up in the sink. I'm not getting to anything else. Does that make sense to you? All right. So that's what this is doing. So this whole section right here is squeezing water back out so my body can use it. Now, there's some problems with that, as you can imagine. As the hydrochloric acid goes into the stomach, sodium bicarbonate is injected into the blood. So as hydrochloric acid goes into the stomach, at the same time, sodium bicarbonate is injected into the bloodstream. However, when the food from the stomach enters the small intestine, it's too acidic for the intestine to take, and exactly the reverse phenomenon takes place. The pancreas injects sodium bicarbonate now, pancreatic juice, into the small intestine. That's the antidote. Sodium, this is the calcium, magnesium, potassium, sodium. That's what's making pancreatic juice. And that pancreas is hooked directly into my small intestine. So it's putting the alkaline buffers as the antidote to all the acid coming from the stomach. It meets right there in that this little section right here. Right here is where it has to meet. Okay? So the pancreas injects sodium bicarbonate into the small intestine while it sends hydrochloric acid into the blood. So I have one action happening, and then just the opposite reaction changes when this acid hits my small intestine. What's that do to you? Here's what it does. When that happens, when our blood receives hydrochloric acid, we get tired and drowsy. So after a big turkey meal, what happens?
Fall asleep.
I'm out. How come? Because I'm now getting hydrochloric acid dumped into my blood. We experience sleepiness after a big meal, not during the meal. During the meal, the blood gets sodium bicarbonate. We don't feel tired. So here's the formula. Hydrochloric acid, sodium bicarbonate equals sodium chloride and carbonic acid. That's the little formula. So it's switching it. One gets acid, one gets buffer, then it switches it. So it's got to neutralize. It's got to always balance itself. So as it goes from different parts of my body, my blood's going to get one thing as it's going to neutralize the rest. Is that killer? How that works? Oh, there's a fun subject. Stomach acid. Acid difficulties, belching, bloating, sensitivity at the waist, intestinal gas, regulation, irregulation, to regurgitation, hiccups, lack of limitation of appetite, nausea, vomiting, diarrhea, constipation. Wonderful things. Are these all wonderful things that have happened? Okay. May indicate vagus nerve problems. Remember that guy who hooked everybody? Every single organ in your body? And nerve problems, impossible hiatal hernia syndrome, which can produce acid residue throughout the system. Hiatal hernia can quickly reduce necessary hydrochloric acid in the stomach. Without proper hydrochloric acid breakdown of foods, the foods become too acidic. What is hiatal hernia? You've heard of that? At the top of your esophagus, when food coming in, the hiatal hernia grows a big fat bulk. It's a big lump up here, and it allows the acid to go up instead of down, so my balance is off. That's what a hiatal hernia is. Okay? Not a good thing. Anybody knows people with hiatal hernia? Get them on the water. Get them on the water, because this has got to go away. All right? Okay, new guy, liver. We talked about him for a second. The liver is the largest gland in the body. Blood is carried liver. It's reddish brown in color, divided into 4 lobes of unequal shape. Liver lies on the right side of the abdominal cavity beneath the diaphragm, right here. Blood's carried in the liver via 2 large vessels called the hepatic artery and portal vein. The hepatic artery carries oxygen-rich blood from the aorta. The portal vein carries blood containing digestive food from the small intestine. The portal vein carries blood containing digestive food from the small intestine. These blood vessels subdivide in the liver repeatedly, terminating in very small capillaries. Each capillary leads to a little lobule. Liver tissue is composed of thousands of lobules. Each lobule is made up of hepatic cells, the basic metabolic cells of the liver. So I've got a direct line straight from my vein right into my liver directly from my small intestine. So my liver's got a big function to do as I'm digesting my food. Okay, so here he is right here. This is my portal vein. Look at this. So here's my small intestine. It's hooked directly to it. It goes all these guys hook in directly into my liver. That's a direct connection. That's a lot of stuff, a lot of fluid going into that liver that has to be cleaned every second, okay? Now here's my function, here's my little liver, happy liver. Has many functions: produce substances that break down fats, convert glucose to glycogen, produce urea, make certain amino acids, the building blocks of proteins, filter harmful substances from the blood, such as alcohol. It stores vitamins, minerals like vitamin A, B, C, and D, K, and B12. Maintain a proper level of glucose in the blood. It also responsible for producing cholesterol. Do I like cholesterol?
No.
Yes. You have to have cholesterol. Cholesterol is what wraps the fat, the uric acid. Now, too much of this is not good, but your liver makes cholesterol, which is fat, which is actually keeping you alive. That's like the lubrication for your heart. Everything else has to have cholesterol to work. So it also produces about 80% of cholesterol in your body. Here's my little liver. It's the ultimate power plant inside of you. Hard to believe. You don't think about your liver. The muscles get energy from the liver. It digests food. She's got a little cape on here. It manufactures vitamins for seeing in the night, helps clotting the blood. Red blood tissues die. When the blood cells die, it stores them by breaking them into biochemicals. These chemicals, once again, used to make red blood cells. It secretes bile to wash away fat. You love our liver. Real strong guy. Now, if the food is going into your small intestine, it's still too acidic, your gallbladder, which is part of your liver, will make bile and squirt it into that little supply with the bicarbonate HCO3, the sodium bicarbonate. So it can raise your pH high enough so it doesn't burn your small intestine. So that's part of what the liver and the gallbladder does, so you need that guy at the same time. Okay, the liver does the most important work in our body. Messing with the liver is like messing around with the engine in your car. Don't do it. So here you can see the parts: liver, stomach. Hard to see. Gallbladder is this little tiny dot back here. Small intestine, large intestine, and the pancreas lies right behind all that. Okay. It has 300 functions. Liver does 300 things. You're thinking just as a couple things. Processing acid toxins from the blood, producing numerous alkaline enzymes for the system. So it's making both. It's cleaning it and making new alkaline enzymes. First line of defense against any poison. All the nourishment attained through the gastrointestinal tract enters the blood by way of the liver. All nourishment attained through the gastrointestinal tract enters the blood by way of the liver. That's a big, powerful thing to have. So you don't want to mess with your liver at all. When you have something like all, that's pretty huge. The load of the liver is much heavier when acid waste products are constantly floating in the blood. If it becomes too congested with protein and acid waste, death is imminent. Not a good thing. So you got to get this. You got to keep the liver clean all the time. Now here's my gallbladder. On the bottom of my liver, got this little pear-shaping little small thing called the gallbladder. It says non-vital organ that aids in the digestive process and stores bile to its liver. Doctors like to cut the gallbladder out because you have to now take a pill or drug to make sure it has function, right? Use your gallbladder. So you want to try to keep your gallbladder if you can, all right? So there he is right there. Here's my pancreas tucked in behind my stomach. What is the gallbladder? It's a small pear-like shaped muscle sac that acts as a storage tank for bile. Bile is made in the liver by liver cells and is sent through tiny ducts or canals to the duodenum, small intestine, and to the gallbladder. The gallbladder stores the bile to have it available in larger quantities for secretion when a meal is eaten. The ingestion of food, and especially fats, causes a release of a hormone, CCK, which in turn signals a relaxation of the valve at the end of the common bile duct, which lets the bile enter the small intestine. It also signals the contraction of the gallbladder, which squirts the constant liquid bile into the small intestine, where it helps with the emulsification or breakdown of fats in the meal. And when you're emulsifying oil,
So when you get rid of the gallbladder, then what?
then you have to take a drug that substitutes for what it used to do. That's why then you've got to take this. They call it non-essential because they have a drug that can replace it. But once again, it's better to have it than be on the drug. Okay, so there he is. That's like the size of the person and everything else. Okay, gallbladder problems. There's symptoms: pain or tenderness under the rib cage on the right side, pain between the shoulder blades, stools lightly or chalky colored, indigestion after eating, especially fatty or greasy foods, nausea, dizziness, bloating, gas, burping, belching, fullness, or foods not digesting. You see that bile is going to help digest it, going to raise the pH. Diarrhea, obviously, constipation, so you get one or both. Headaches over the eyes, especially the right eye. Bitter fluid comes up after eating, frequent use of laxatives. So if you have these, you probably have a gallbladder issue. There's this poor guy, he's in donuts. Now here's my little pancreas, little friendly guy. You got to have him. Pancreas is a glandular organ that secretes digestive enzymes, internal secretions, and hormones, external secretions, inside and outside. Here's my pancreas. Look at the size of this guy compared to my stomach, okay? Now notice this. He's connected directly into what? The duodenum. Is his own direct input line there. Okay, the pancreas is a yellow organ, about 7 inches long, 1.5 inches long, wide, and the pancreas lies beneath the stomach, is connected directly to the small intestine at the duodenum. Direct line, straight in, so nothing's going to stop it. Where is he? Okay, obviously you can see where he is. Gallbladder, see how gallbladder has its own direct line right in the same place that the pancreas does, going right into the small intestine, the duodenum. Okay? What does it do? The pancreas is a gland organ in the digestive and endocrine system. It is both an endocrine gland producing several hormones, including insulin, glucagon, somatostatin, as well as endocrine gland, pancreatic juice, digestive enzymes, small intestine, that pass into the small intestine. They help the future breakdown of the carbohydrates, proteins, and fat, and chyme. This is pronounced chyme or chyme. This is when you mix acid with food and enzymes from the mouth and stomach. That's called chyme. But everybody calls it chyme because that's how it's like it's spelled, okay? So the stuff in your stomach, as it enters into the small intestine, that's what that is. They're talking about chyme or chyme. All right? What else does the pancreas do? You guys remember Patrick Swayze? Yeah. Died of pancreatic cancer. Terrible thing. Pancreas produces the body's most important enzymes. These enzymes are designed to digest food and break down starches. And it also breaks down chyme, proteins, fats, and starch. Chyme is a thick, semi-fluid mass of partially digested food that is passed from the stomach to the duodenum. If the pancreas is not working properly to neutralize chyme and break down proteins, fats, and starch, starvation may occur. Cancer at the head of the pancreas, which is about 60% of the cases, obstructs the common bile duct as it runs through the pancreas. Now we got a problem. Nobody's communicating again. Pancreatic cancer is sometimes called the silent killer because early pancreatic cancer often does not cause symptoms, and the later symptoms are usually non-specific and varied. Therefore, pancreatic cancer is often not diagnosed until it's advanced. Many patients with pancreatic cancer develop diabetes months to years before they are diagnosed with pancreatic cancer, suggesting new onset diabetes in an elderly individual may be an early warning sign of pancreatic cancer. So when someone you know has diabetes, wake up. That's something else is going wrong here. Does that make sense to you guys? So diabetes and pancreatic cancer, since the pancreas is not going to tell you itself, diabetes is giving you a clue. Have your pancreas checked, right? What about blood sugar? The pancreas contains enzymes producing cells that secrete two hormones. The hormones are insulin and glucagon. Keep hearing these two. Insulin and glucagon are secreted directly into the bloodstream, and together they regulate the level of glucose in the blood. Insulin lowers the blood sugar level and increases the amount of glucagon, stored carbohydrate in the liver. Glucagon slowly increases the blood sugar level if it falls too low. If insulin secreted cells do not work properly, diabetes occurs. So the pancreas not working is diabetes, right? Okay? Okay. Now, diabetes. Who knows someone with diabetes? Every hand should be up. Everybody knows someone with diabetes. Diabetes by 2025 is going to triple in the United States. By 2050, everybody in this country will have diabetes. Once you have diabetes, cancer is coming right along behind it. Okay? Yes. Yeah, well, I'm going to talk about diabetes right now. We're going to get into diabetes. Okay? When your pancreas stops making insulin, now you have a blood sugar problem because it's not balanced. When it gets out of balance, then your pancreas, it does so many things. Like it's making bicarbonate HCO3 to buffer the acids, making the antidote to acid for your stomach. It's also making insulin to neutralize the blood sugar. As you're eating sugar, it's got to balance it with glucagon and glucose. But let's talk about these symptoms here, because when my pancreas doesn't work, then I have to have shots or pills to make sure I'm balancing my blood sugar and my blood pressure. But the early symptoms of unrelated diabetes, untreated diabetes, elevated blood sugar levels and loss of glucose in the urine. High amounts of glucose in the urine can cause increased urine output and lead to dehydration. Dehydration causes increased thirst and water consumption. So you can see how one, it's like, the knee bone's connected, it just keeps everybody one thing goes wrong, it just keeps going wrong in bigger pieces. Inability of insulin to perform normally has effects on protein, fat, and carbohydrate metabolism. Okay? So if my insulin's out to whack, these pieces here are now out of whack. Insulin's an anabolic hormone, that is one that encourages storage of fat and protein. A relative of absolute insulin deficiency eventually leads to weight loss despite an increase in appetite. So eat more to lose weight. Some of the untreated diabetic patients also complain of fatigue, nausea, and vomiting. Once again, my fat, my carbohydrates, and my protein are out of balance. So everything about what's happening is out of whack in my body. Okay, patients with diabetes are prone to developing infections of the bladder, skin, and vaginal areas. Functions in blood glucose levels can lead to blurred vision. Extremely elevated glucose levels can lead to lethargy and coma. So I have blurry vision, increased thirst, feeling tired, recurring skin, gum, bladder infections, dry, itchy skin, unexpected weight loss, slow healing cuts, bruises, loss of feeling of feet, tingling in the hand. Now everybody here has experienced some of those symptoms at some time, haven't you? Everybody here. And we go, oh, I slept it off. Now, your body's doing all kinds of things at the same time. It's acid alkaline balance. But if you have a continuing theme, pay attention here. This water is the antidote to diabetes. Everybody you know has something like that they're fighting. You're the antidote to their problem. You're the antidote. You are it. Your knowledge, your compassion, your passion, all the things that we're talking about today are going to affect your family and friends and your neighbors and relatives forever, because it's going to go from generation to generation. You can be the person that changes that path. But diabetes is running rampant. Kids are drinking sodas, sports drinks, and it's just like Doug. He was taking 9 44-ounce glass soda a day, diet sodas a day, and it was killing him, and now he's here to help us, and we're just glad it's a totally different person. And we're just so proud of you, Doug. Okay, how is diabetes diagnosed? After a person has fasted overnight, at least 8 hours, a single sample is drawn and sent to the lab for analysis. This can be done accurately in a doctor's office using the glucose meter. Now, normal fasting plasma glucose levels are less than 100 milligrams per deciliter. So normal is over here in the under 100, all right? Less than 100. Fasting plasma glucose levels are more than 126 on 2 or more tests on different days indicate diabetes. So if it's over 126, you've got this. So 110, 125 is creed. A random glucose test can also be used to diagnose diabetes. A blood glucose level of 200 or higher indicates diabetes. So here is a normal blood sugar. This is the fasting plasma glucose test. So normal is too low is under 70, good 70, 150, over 150 is too high. Okay? So if you haven't had tests, figure out what your numbers are, because once again, this is a slow, creepy, crawling disease, and once you get diabetes, you can turn it off, you can switch it off, but you have to have someone that has the ability to take you to the right place using the alkaline water pH balance that we're talking about today. All right? Every year, 13,000 children are diagnosed with type 1 diabetes, and more than 1 million kids and adults deal with the disease every day. That's every day. Just huge. After you eat a meal, your body breaks down the foods you eat into glucose and other nutrients, which are then absorbed into the bloodstream from the gastrointestinal tract. You know all about that, right? You all draw pictures back in your mind, right? The glucose level in the blood rises after a meal and triggers the pancreas to make the hormone insulin and then releases it into the bloodstream. You know it has a direct link right into the bloodstream, right in the small intestine. In people with diabetes, the body either can't make or can't respond to insulin properly. Insulin works like a key that opens the door to cells and allows the glucose in. Without insulin, glucose can't get into the cells. The doors are locked. There's no key, so it stays in the bloodstream. As a result, the level of sugar in the blood remains higher than normal. High blood sugar levels are a problem because they can cause a number of health problems, which we just named before. So you understand what's happening here? Glucose pancreas problem with the insulin in the pancreas not able to open the door here to the glucose level. 6 common types of type 2 diabetes. So we get type 1 and type 2. Doug, you were type 2, which means it can be fixed, basically. Okay?
If you lose the weight, it'll help considerably.
So type 2 is easier to address than type 1, but type 1 has improvement as well. They don't completely get the same results Doug does, but at first your blood sugar level may rise slowly that you may not know that anything is wrong. 1/3 of all people who have diabetes do not know they have the disease. That's pretty huge. Don't even know it. If you do have symptoms of type 2, they may include feeling thirsty, having to urinate more than usual, feeling hungry more than usual, losing weight without trying to, feeling very tired, feeling cranky. Okay? Okay, so we all have it. Other signs, type 2 may include infections and cuts and bruises that heal slowly, blurred vision. If that doesn't look clear, you have diabetes. Tingling or numbness in your hands or feet, trouble with skin, gum, bladder infections, vaginal yeast infections. Okay, so you can see it's healing problems. Nothing seems to go the way it should. You can't close the gap. Nothing gets ended. It just keeps continuing on. Some people already develop more serious health problems by the time they're diagnosed with type 2. So not diagnosed over time can lead to problems with the eyes, kidneys, heart, blood vessels, nerves. Signs of these problems may include blurred, distorted vision, seeing flashes of light, or seeing large floating red or black spots, or seeing large areas that look like floating hair, cotton fibers, or spider webs. Like when you close your eyes, you see those little floating around. Okay? That could be something besides diabetes. You could also have an optic nerve loose in the back of your eye. Okay, yes.
Most of the retinal surgeries that we do are on diabetic.
Okay, you hear that? Most of the retinal surgeries they do are on diabetic patients. So diabetes is a precursor to eye problem. No question. Okay. Numbness, tingling, burning, pain, swelling in your feet and hands, chest pain, shortness of breath. This may be a sign of heart or blood vessel problems. So you can see, if you're out of balance pH-wise, so many things are going haywire. It can't work in an acid environment. And diabetes is one of the major things that everybody's now getting. Little kids are just getting this. Now it's time for the intestine. Start with the small intestine. We talked about this when he's hooked directly to the stomach. Okay? Major function of the intestine is right down here. Small and large intestines perform different functions. Small intestine is where the most extensive part of the digestion occurs. Most food products are absorbed in the small intestine. The large intestine is responsible for absorption of water and excretion of solid waste materials. Food and waste materials are moved along the length of the intestine by rhythmic contractions of intestinal muscles. These contractions are called peristaltic movements. Waste is solid because most of the water has been removed by the intestines as it travels through them. If the intestines are not working properly, green stool, Crohn's disease, constipation, irritable bowel syndrome, tapeworms may be present. Now, by the way, tapeworms seems like that's something from third world countries. Dr. Hiromi Shinya, have you guys ever gone to his classes and see his cold slides? He shows so many people that he pulls these tapeworms out that are just like the entire length of the small intestine. They're huge. It's like, which means somehow a tapeworm attaches in and just starts eating all the foods, and you start starving nutritionally, and the worms just grow like crazy. Some people actually ingest tapeworms to lose weight. There was actually a tapeworm diet going around a few years ago. You eat their little larvae, and then of course you had something 6 months later was supposed to kill them all, which didn't kill them all, so it's kill all those people. But, so there's a lot of really weird things going on here. Now look at the large intestine. Large intestine is the portion of the digestive system most responsible for absorption of water from the indigestible residue of food. So as it's coming through, you have the ascending, transverse, and descending colon, and the sigmoid form bottom, and the rectum comes out here. But this is, all it's doing is squeezing and squeezing and squeezing the water out so it can go back to your body. That's why stools are hard. That's why when you're constipated, you sit there reading a book for an hour and you drop a rock. Now let's talk about this water and drinking it. You're not supposed to drink this or anything else while you're eating dinner, breakfast, lunch, dinner. You know that? When you drink Kangen water, especially during a meal, it's diluting the hydrochloric acid, and now you're throwing the pH balance completely off. You can't digest food, it now sends it to the wrong, everything's in the wrong numbers, so going all the way through, all the numbers are now adjusting and giving you a real problem. Now, the reason you're drinking water with food is because you were trained to, you were raised to as a child, it's a habit, but also because we've been trained to eat foods that have no water in them. Fruits and vegetables, nuts and grains have a ton of water. I actually have a chart that has how much water is in all these different things that we eat. The foods we eat are virtually dry foods. So when you're chewing them, your saliva is putting moisture into them. You're still not enough. You're drinking water because the foods you're eating are too dry. So you're eating a dry food, and it's like dust going down. And by the time it gets here, there's nothing left to squeeze. It's just... You got little dirt farts, you know? And it's acid, that's right, it's all acid. So you are not, the foods that we're eating must contain some fluid in them, but you can't drink during your meals. So here's what you do. 45 minutes before a meal, 45 minutes. 2 big glasses of 9-5. What I'm doing now is I'm loading my body up with calcium, magnesium, potassium, sodium, minerals, alkaline minerals. I'm loading my body up with extra fluid. I got water down my blood. Not just the minimum I need to let my heart pump, but I've got extra. I've got to have extra water over the minimum. Now when I eat my food, as I'm eating my food, now my pancreas goes, it's time to make bicarbonate HCO3, pancreatic juice. Where does it go? It goes into my blood supply, pulls it back in, it makes plenty of it, mixes it up and squirts it right into my duodenum. I got plenty, okay? Now, I still don't drink water for a half an hour after I eat dinner. Now, if you learn how to chew your food, instead of go, okay? I gotta go. Chewing it up, you should actually chew your food into some sort of a mushy thing. Chewing, sick and tired of chewing this up. As you eat it, it's going to mix with saliva, and saliva's got its own little role here, but 30 minutes after I eat, the food's now out of my stomach, right? Where is it? It's heading down my small intestine, right? So 30 minutes later, it's time for me to add water. Is there any acid in my stomach 30 minutes after I eat? No. Because when there's nothing in your stomach, there's nothing in your stomach. I now take another glass of 9-5. It gets absorbed in my muscles and my nerves, and my stomach, my lining goes down. It goes right in my small intestine. And now I've got extra water to help everything move along. An hour after I eat, where is it now? It's now entering my large intestine, my colon. Time for another big glass of water. Now, this is when you really need to have water, because this is where he's doing the squeeze job. So by the time he gets here, this last section, this is where the dust comes in. You want to be adding water so that I now have some fluids. When you get, you should be going to the bathroom 2 to 3 times a day, every day, not once a week. Have you gone yet? Look, this week? No. You should go twice a day. Number 2, okay? You should have a solid. Now, it shouldn't be like reading the Declaration of Independence to get through it. Now, we call our bathroom the library because I like to read. I got all these books. But it's not because I gotta sit there. It's because that's the only time my dog doesn't want to go out for a run or something. But I can tell you, in and out, in and out, in and out. Because once you have water in this part of your colon, yippee! Because remember, it's going to recycle water. If it's recycling dust, you're in irritable bowel syndrome, Crohn's disease, all sorts of things. And all the degenerative diseases originate right here. Every single one of them are right here. Diabetes, cancer, fibromyalgia, lupus, nerve gout, all of it lives here. This is the food, the lunch wagon, acid, no oxygen in there. Very, very interesting. Okay? Now, so the large intestine is the portion of the digestive system most responsible for absorption of water from the indigestible residue of food. The small intestine passes the material in the large intestine. Material passes through the ascending, transverse, and descending, and sigmoid portions of the colon finally into the rectum and into the junk. From the rectum, the waste is expelled from the body, and there we sit waiting for it to come out. Okay. Crohn's disease and ulcerative colitis, are they different? You've heard of them, right? Both? Yes. Crohn's disease is different to ulcerative colitis, although in many ways they're quite similar, and it's quite common for the correct diagnosis to be given. In which ways do Crohn's disease and ulcerative colitis differ? Ulcerative colitis causes an inflammation only in the colon, okay? Ulcerative colitis is only in the colon, which is called the colitis or the rectum. On the other hand, Crohn's disease can cause inflammation in your rectum, colon, small intestines, sometimes even your stomach, mouth, and esophagus. So the entire digestive tract, everything, everybody, all the way, can have this wonderful Crohn's disease. By the way, my wife has everybody taken the yellow ticket? written your name and phone number on the back and put it in this container so we can do a drawing? Everybody?
No.
If not,
Well, they do have their phone number, but just their name.
just their name, state your name. Okay, that's what we need. Okay, now, the actual inflammation in Crohn's disease is also different from ulcerative colitis. Because except in the very worst cases, the inflammation of ulcerative colitis only seems to affect the superficial layer of the lining, inner lining of the bowel, while that of Crohn's can be much worse. The inflammation in Crohn's disease tends to be concentrated in some areas more than others and affects layers of the bowel that are deeper than the superficial inner layer. Therefore, the affected areas of the bowel in Crohn's disease is often deeper, with ulcers with normal lining between those ulcers. So you can see, while the two diseases are similar, they're very the same. Now, Galen, turn the lights off again for a second for me. This is Crohn's disease. Okay? Give me one more light just for a second so we can see the whole thing here. You can see it's like little speckles throughout here. Okay, that's pretty inflamed. That's Crohn's disease. Okay? Here is ulcerative colitis. I've got pockets, like little blisters all the way through. Okay? So this one can go throughout from top to bottom, and this one is mostly just in my lower part tract. But you can see these polyps then rupture. It goes through and now I have all sorts of waste in the rest of my body, and now I have all sorts of cancers. So you can see where this will kill you by itself. This can kill you by itself. All right? And my own daughter refused to drink this water. She was a soda drinker, and they ended up putting her in the hospital with ulcerative colitis. And the first diagnosis was she had she had colon cancer. And you have no idea what it feels like to have a daughter who's in her 30s. You think she's gonna. I mean, I was saying we're flying her to see Dr. Shinya, and to find out she didn't have cancer, but now she drinks Kangen water. Her kids, she was giving soda to her children, and it just killed me. See that, you know? But sometimes this is a wake-up call. It's a bad one, but they're now completely, my grandkids call it poppy water. Can I have some poppy water? They know when poppies are around, you better not be doing something else. Okay, lights back on. Thanks, Heather. Yes?
No, I was just going to say, since you just mentioned it, I've only been on it for 2 weeks. And yeah, I was one of those dads. And because, I'm drinking the soda and the girls are there and, whatever. But anyway, they're on it now, and she calls it kangaroo water.
Kids just get this, yes.
I was retired from the military, the Navy, 26 years ago with ulcerative colitis.
Wow.
And they got me out on 50% disabled retirement because they said I relate to cancer. They said 10 to 15 years it takes you to get the colon cancer. I don't have it yet. But I had I won't go into my testimony, but I don't have it. It's been 26 years.
And she bought her machine today.
Yeah, I bought my machine today. I'm the first sale. So I'm number one.
Right on.
Most of the organization. So you guys, everybody here has a life that can be touched with these diseases. And we're just walking around thinking, well, let them talk to their doctor. No. Let them talk to you. You're the answer. Their doctor's probably going to lead them off the wrong direction. With drugs and surgery and pills and lotions and potions. And you guys, we have the solution ourselves right here, right now. It's important because it's part of your family, it's part of your life. And if not yet, it will. It will be part of that. So, Crohn's disease, also known as regional enteritis, you've heard that name. It's the same thing as Crohn's disease. Okay? Is an inflammatory disease of the intestines that may affect any part of the gastrointestinal tract from anus to mouth, causing a wide variety of symptoms, primarily abdominal pain, diarrhea, which may be bloody, vomiting, weight loss, but may also cause complications outside the gastrointestinal tract, such as skin rashes, arthritis, inflammation of the eye. Crohn's disease is an autoimmune disease, which means they don't know the answer. Okay? You ever see autoimmune? Plug in, we don't have a clue. Okay? In which the body's immune system attacks the gastrointestinal tract, causing inflammation. What really causes it? Our vibration is dropping, right? Our energy is dropping. We're turning acidic, and everybody says it's time to eat this guy. Does that make sense? Is that autoimmune? No. It's dehydration. It's all part of that same problem. Okay? It is classified as a type of inflammatory bowel disease. There's been evidence of a genetic link to Crohn's disease, putting individuals' siblings affected with the disease at a higher risk. It is understood, now here's the genetic link. If you eat pizza, what's the odds your brother's going to eat pizza? Pretty good. Who taught you how to eat pizza? Your parents. So all these diseases, they're not necessarily inherited. They're not necessarily genetic. They're because grandpa taught dad how to eat and taught you how to eat, and teaching your grandkids how to eat. You're all getting the same disease. That's what's happening. You got to change that. Okay. It's understood to have a large environmental component as evidenced by the higher number of cases in Western industrialized nations. That's about acid, acid, acid. The more acid you get, the more industrialized you are, and that's what happens. Now here's colon cancer. Pop the lights off one more time if you would. This is a completely different animal. What's going through there? Nothing. Nothing. So you can see this is something you want to do everything in your power to avoid being this guy. Everything. I don't care if you have to become a vegetarian. I don't care if you never eat steak again. People say, I have to have steak on my diet. Yes, you probably will. Now, I'm not saying don't eat steak, but I'm saying you can't eat meats that have been processed. Those are, there's just so many things in that just kill you. That's the result of people who didn't get it. That's curable. That's preventable. But not in that guy. Okay, lights back on. Thanks, Galen. All foods give us energy and nutrients. All foods. In order for us to grow and function. Different cultures offer different foods, and we also live. Every island eats different foods, and you're all alive. The distinction between good foods and bad foods are the types and quantities of waste products those foods generate. It's all about getting rid of the acid in the body. 97% of our food is carbon, nitrogen, hydrogen, and oxygen. Only 3% can be alkaline minerals. So no matter what you eat, your waste products are acidic in the final analysis. So you've got, no matter what it is, you can be a vegetarian, you can be vegan, you can be a McDonald's aficionado, you got to find a way to get the acid out of your body. The body's going to make acid no matter what you eat. No matter what you eat, you got to have a way to flush that acid out of your body, and you're drinking it right now. That's what it is. You happen to belong to the best club in the world because we have the ability to save people's lives, especially the ones in your family. My own brother ignored this. He's 4 years younger. They found him dead on the floor in Colorado of diabetic coma. Dropped dead. Refused the water. Couldn't drink it. He was afraid they was going to make money off of him. So we're going to give you the machine. People have got to become aware. They have to have a need. You have to know they have a need. Some people, no matter what you do, are not going to do it. It's like if you offer to get some people out of jail, they won't leave. All their friends are in jail. Everyone I know is here. We play volleyball, we exercise with the weights. I don't have to, Yeah, it's comfy. Sickness. I love my doctor. He knows me. I know everyone in the hospital, everybody in the ward. I have assistants come to my house. They hook up my oxygen for me. It's my life. This is where my jail is. This is where I live. Live it up. Live it up. That's why drinking cotton water with alkaline minerals, with negative ORP and extra electrons, with microclustered hexagonal molecular structure for delivering these nutrients, is the most important thing you can do to optimize your health and to save the lives of your friends and family. Final warning. Hanging out. Nothing will cure your cancer if you keep giving yourself cancer by eating processed meats, taking pharmaceuticals, using cosmetics and personal care products with toxic chemicals, spraying pesticides in the lawn, drinking sodas and bottled water, and using sunscreen. There's no therapy in the world that can compensate for all the pro-cancer things most people do to themselves. Eating processed meats with sodium nitrate is almost as bad for your health as smoking cigarettes. Hard to believe. But everybody's doing this, and people are all aware of bad cigarettes. Okay? Do not foolishly believe you can destroy your health with pharmaceuticals, bottled water, toxic body lotions, processed foods, avoiding exercise, then magically show up in the office of your naturopath one day and request that they cure you With a single treatment or a medical herb, it doesn't work that way. Hearing cancer requires massive cleansing of the liver, colon, and kidneys. It requires a wholesale shift into a healthy alkaline lifestyle that includes exercise, raw foods, vegetables, sunlight therapy, complete lifetime avoidance of cancer-causing foods, medicines, personal care products. I'll say it bluntly as I can, if you're not willing to radically change your diet, drink clean water, take up exercise, and eliminate the poisons from your home, then your outcome is already determined. I've had people literally tell me I'd rather die than give up drinking soda, and sure enough, they're dead. Sunscreen's got so many things in it that are toxic to your body. Just Google the ingredients and just go look at some of them. They're just pathetic, yes.
Like, just to share with you guys, go on EWG.org.
EWG.org, yeah.
Cosmetic database. Answer your question about almost any.
It's EWG, it's Earth Water Group, EWG.org. And you can also put a /water. In fact, your zip code will tell you the contaminants in your water source. Yes.
Yesterday, there was a news flash on wonderful FDA. They are now worried about the amount of fluoride in my urine. They said that children were getting spots on their teeth, but
Isn't it something? Let's talk about fluoride for a second here. KDF, now our machine has a filter. It's a carbon block, it's charcoal, and it's got 3 labels, but it doesn't take out fluoride. Okay? It doesn't take out fluoride. So in our home, we have a 3-stage KDF home purification pre-filter. We have it under our sink. It costs $175. Okay? KDF stands for kinetic degradation fluxation, Flexion, was developed and patented in 1987. This water purification system utilizes all natural processes in which the dissimilar metals, copper and zinc, create a temporary charge from the flow through of water that kills microorganisms and alters or removes many problem contaminants. It also conditions water with a softening effect. KDF has been proven to be the best water way to remove the major contaminants, bacteria, pesticides from our water, and shown to stay active longer than any other purification methods. The result is better water than bottled water at a fraction of cost. When this KDF technology is combined with a high-quality coconut shell granulated activated carbon, the results is truly revolutionary, which is what's in the carbon filters we have now. The KDF protects the carbon from rapid exhaustion with chlorine by handling the chlorine first. In other words, the water coming out of your tap, out of your pipe, is going to go through this, take the chlorine, bacteria, and metals out before it goes into your machine. But it leaves in calcium, magnesium, potassium, sodium. So the good stuff stays, the bad stuff's gone. Now, thus allowing the carbon to have a much longer life, effective life. KDF itself has a 10 times or more the length of life of activated carbon. A typical KDF home water purification filter does not need filter replacement for 1.5 to 2 years. Now, water plus carbon dioxide equals carbonic acid. In chemical terms, that's H2O plus CO2 is H2CO3. The U.S. EPA has approved KDF as a pesticidal device. Okay? It has the ability to kill algae, bacteria, including a whole list of strange things. Okay? Okay? Fungus, mold, many parasites, viruses found in drinking water supplies through the natural process of electrochemical oxidation reduction, redox. Okay, now, for the best results, now this is a 2-stage, we have a 3-stage, we have 3 of these in a row. To be sure to use KDF water purification systems that also use a ceramic filter. Now they don't come with a ceramic filter. Enagic sells a ceramic filter that goes in here, it costs $75. Ceramic filters, okay, is a microscopic screening agent made from a fine clay material that removes any particulates greater than 1/2 micron in size, including most bacteria, parasites, and fluoride. Okay? Yes?
I just called Enagic to get one of those, and they said they no longer carry them.
Well, go to KDF.com, they still make them. In fact,
Okay.
the new cadmium-6, you know, that's the EPA announced cadmium-6 is in 75% of the water supplies and it's killing everybody. They also have a cadmium removal filter you can put in. KDF, go to their website, it's awesome.
KDF.com?
KDF.com. And they have, it's a huge company, they have bathtub things and all that, but yes.
Yeah, I was gonna say, you need one for your shower.
Yeah.
Everybody needs one for
Yeah.
their
So I'm just like, this is more advanced knowledge as molecular hydration specialists. You need to know about this because people who don't know about fluoride need to know about it, and if you don't know about it, you need to know about it, okay? So, many water use multi-step processes, including KDF purification. These are obviously the best option, and depending upon the water shortage usage, might present the most economical option, okay? So let's change the health of the world one SD501 at a time. Personally drink 64, at least 64 ounces of clean water a day and share your healthy story. Share your story with everybody you meet. And by the way, drink a gallon a day. Okay? If you're not drinking a gallon a day, you're not getting it. You're still missing most of the value because you're still drinking the minimum, not what you need. Cut your intake of animal protein to less than 20%. 10% would be best. Eat fruits and vegetables. Exercise a half a day any way you can. You have got to get off your butt. You've got to get off your butt. You've got to get off your butt. You've got to exercise every day because that's what's moving the lymphatic system. If you're not doing it, people sitting in hospital beds are getting sicker because the waste is building up and they're going to blow up. Okay? My wife and I are doing P90X every day, man. We're just loving it to pieces, and I recommend if you're not doing it, try it. It's just wonderful. Okay? Show the DVD to someone new every day. That's part of your drill to build this business. Because as a molecular hydration specialist, you have an obligation to find someone to help. They're not hard to find. They're all over the place. Give water to every person who's seen the DVD or presentation and their friends and their friends. Never give up on your friends or family because you're saving their life even if they don't want you to. Hopefully. So here we go. As we evolve, we handle knowledge in different ways. We tend to move through these stages. First of all, we're unaware. We don't know we have a problem. That's most of America. Okay? We've been hypnotized by TV. We have no idea what's going on. Then we become aware of facts, data, information. This is why when people say, can I have the water? I say, listen, it's a company policy. This is a medical device. I can't give you this water until you watch the DVD. Because if I can't get facts, data, and information on the brain, I can't make them become more unaware. They got to be aware. We comprehend the meaning from the facts. So some people watch DVD and go, don't care, and we lose them here. But as you evolve, we become aware of facts, data, information. We comprehend meaning from the facts. We can personally apply the information in our lives. So now, I'm drinking the water. I'm getting better. I'm losing weight. I'm getting stronger. I'm sleeping better. All my diabetes is going away. I'm personally applying the information in my life. Now, we grow from the next stage from my life to I have wisdom. I'm enlightened. We can lovingly apply our knowledge to the world affairs. Who do you know next door? Who's your neighbor? Who do you know? And then, now we're living in truth. All we care about is who can I focus to share this truth with. And you guys, if you will share this water every day with somebody, we can change the world. We'll change our neighborhood. It'll change your life. And thank you very much. We'll see you guys next month. Appreciate it very much.